Hey, what's up, everybody? It is January 8th.
Welcome to
2019.
the 8th of January.
Proper January.
Proper foods.
Remember.
Proper podcasting right here at Giant Bomb. This is the Giant Bombcast. I'm your host, Jeff Gerstmann, standing in for Brad Shoemaker, who is out. Hopefully
a
be back very soon.
delicious assignment.
It does not sound
No.
especially delicious.
No, it doesn't.
But
No.
hang in there, Brad.
We love you and miss you.
With me, as always, is Jason A. Striker. How
Yo,
you doing?
that's me. Hey, I'm doing great, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
Doing really good.
Outstanding.
But I miss Brad.
Ben Pack is here.
I'm
Nothing
in
against
Brad's
you.
seat.
That's,
No, I'm in your seat.
Yeah, this is a
You're
whole-
in Brad's seat.
It's been a while, I know.
It's been a minute since we've been in this room, Jeff, and I am not prepared.
Nope. Who is? Jan is.
Yeah. Actually, no.
Yeah.
I had to remember how to do everything, and then stuff went wrong. But
Are you
it's
recording?
shit.
Are we? Is this streaming?
Seriously,
It might be streaming. It might be. We're recording.
Okay.
We're recording.
I feel like that's a
start and
sign.
stop the
we
stream
should
a few
put
times.
we should put that sign on the door. It just say it might be streaming. Because I walked in here a few minutes ago and looked in and was like, oh, that's right. There's an overhead camera in here. It might be streaming out. I don't know. Yeah. Am I on camera right now? Yes. Is that camera being seen by people? Maybe.
Yeah, I could be switching to the camera that's facing me, so none of y'all are on camera now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The might be streaming sign's currently hung over the bathroom, right?
Yeah. No, that's the, yeah. We only have budget for one.
We move it to the kitchen on Fridays to catch the bagel thieves.
Yeah. It might be. These bagels
You have to
might
sign.
be.
You stolen this bagel and we caught you red-handed, but we need you to sign this release so that we can put it up
Yeah.
on YouTube, or else we're gonna blur your face and make you look like a moron.
Yeah. We hit a camera inside one of the bagels.
The cheesy jalapeno one, because no one
right.
ever takes
Yeah.
those.
No,
Those are
that's
so good.
it's disgusting.
No.
It's one of those bagels that, like, look, they put all the bagels in one bag.
After a while.
And so after about a while, you mean like if you don't get there
Well,
the
yeah,
first
if you don't-
5 minutes of them
exactly,
being put in the bag, and it takes longer than 5 minutes for them to get here.
I've been here at 10 o'clock and there's been like 4 bags.
Every
Maybe
bagel-
3 of them are empty.
But every bagel tastes like the worst bagel in the, like, the most flavorful. It's like, oh,
They're
I guess
all-
these are all everything bagels.
They're all
now.
everything bagels now at this
Yeah.
point, yeah, because they've been rolling around
I mean, that
and
makes
touching
sense.
one another.
The
Yeah.
ultimate everything bagel is a non-everything bagel that has had everything thrust upon it.
That's right.
It's like
It's a true mixing pot.
right. It's the
Melting pot.
process
Yeah.
of becoming everything that imbues it the flavor. It's not like, sure, you could throw
It's a
some
serpent or a
sesame
bagel,
seeds
Like a
on
bagel
shit, but yeah,
osmosis.
like going through the motions, becoming an everything bagel really adds to the flavor profile. I've been watching a lot of the Great British Baking Show, and I've been thinking a lot about baking.
The hot British Bake Off, the extreme British Baking Extreme. Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
now?
I'm
I know
a,
it's got
I'm
a different
baking
name
genius
here.
now.
That's hot.
Most extreme elimination baking.
What's your
Kenny
the after
Blankenship
show.
is the most fucking hardcore Iron Chef there is. Everyone knows that. We're here. It's
Welcome.
2019.
Thank you.
We're doing some stuff. Jason, what have you been up to? You've been playing stuff?
Yeah, I've been trying to, like, I got that PSVR over the holidays, and so we've been just like going through stints. Like, Griffin's been playing a little bit here and there. He wants to play the bad Batman. He calls it
Oh yeah, it's the
Wait,
worst.
what's
It's the
Bad
worst
Batman?
Batman
the VR one. He calls it the bad
Oh.
Batman because it's like
because it's terrible.
you
Does he
would-
fall
you would
over
think-
because how dizzy he got?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
I didn't even know there was a Batman VR thing.
Yeah, there's a Batman VR thing. So yeah, we've been playing like Moss and Beat Saber, and I've been trying out the Borderlands VR thing.
Oh right,
Which
yeah.
is interesting. I thought it was just going to be a shooting gallery.
No, but it's
This is the
it's
whole
Borderlands
damn
2,
game,
right?
Yeah, that's a really strange thing. Bad moving and all. So it's like not that it was bad to move in Borderlands to begin with, but you throw VR to the mix, and all of a sudden it's shitty to move
How are you
around.
moving?
So
movie
yeah,
that-
what are you using to move around? Does it have the option to play it normally and then also teleporting?
Not that I'm familiar with. At least
Okay.
they didn't make that very obvious.
So it's just teleporting
it's-
then?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
teleporting. You got your 8-way right stick kind of click, to move it in different directions, and then just kind of grenade to throw over or throw yourself to a different area. So that's super disorienting, and
That's just not.
that's not how I want to play that
That's not how I want to
game.
play that
Yeah,
game.
like
that just seems like a bad fit.
yep.
I don't know. Yeah.
Any game that's like Borderlands, to me, the two gameplay things that stick out in my memory are sometimes there's like big hordes of enemies that you have to kind of crowd control and deal with and constantly be on the move. And then guns, right? Like
Yep.
the guns are the major thing. And if they don't shoot well, if you can't position well, you can't shoot well. And if you can't shoot well, why are you playing Borderlands?
I will say that guns seem to shoot okay.
Yeah.
as far as it's going to go.
Okay.
But like, moving backwards, because
Yeah.
it's a run back kind of, game,
Yeah.
as
Or
enemies are
circle
coming-
strafing even, just
Yeah.
depending on where you are. Yeah, but I guess like that's the thing is I would expect, and this is coming from someone who has not played this version of the game, but I would expect they would tune the enemy dispersion and or rates of enemies and movement and stuff around like, hey, you can't move as well.
Right.
Does it feel like that? Or
I haven't been that far
Okay.
yet. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But it seems like, and I played through the beginning of Borderlands 2 many times.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah,
and
same here.
It seems to be the same.
Okay.
Same enemy disbursement, but
Weird.
like I'm just early in, but
Yeah.
we'll see. That's about it though. Like, that and like EDF, I've talked about that
Yeah,
ad
yep.
nauseum, just frogs now. I've just been chilling, man, doing some VR and shooting some bugs and frogs. You know what I mean? That's about it.
Ben, you been shooting frogs?
Let me think about it.
This is a weird thing to have to think about. This seems like something you
Well,
would know
I've
one
been
way or
in
the
the
other.
swamp
Okay.
with a gun.
Yo, you
Yeah.
can blow their legs off and they will crawl towards you, still shooting.
Wait, how do they crawl without the legs?
The arms.
I didn't know frogs had arms.
They got 4.
Do they have 4? In
They
my
got
mind,
4.
a frog. Well, it's because I learned how to draw a frog.
Do you
that
think they just
looked-
have little tiny
I
arms?
thought they just had the 2 big legs for jumping.
Oh, okay.
And
No,
then
they
they
got-
just landed
Well,
on their butt.
those are the major ones. Yeah.
They got hands.
They got hands.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew they had frog legs because it's a delicacy. Of
course,
I never
yeah.
heard of eating frog hands.
No one eats frog hands.
There's not enough meat.
Not enough meat in the hands. No, I haven't been shooting any frogs. I don't know. It's been like you mentioned. It's been a while. We were on a little bit of break.
Yeah.
Since the last Bombcast, and I got back into Dota.
What?
Oh no.
But not like Dota proper.
Is this like an idle hands thing?
what
Like the minute
happened?
you fucking have nothing else
Yeah.
going on, like Dota just creeps back into your life.
I
Or
got
if somebody
really
hurts
into-
you. Like, who hurt you, Ben?
No one hurt me, but honestly, I was home a lot. Didn't really have a lot to do.
Yeah, that's what
There
I'm
was
saying.
a big
like,
patch fairly recently that
Okay,
changed up a
all
lot
right,
of things.
yeah.
And I got really into ability draft, which is kind of a sub mode where
shit, man, who isn't?
you get like a random hero and you have to draft from a big pool of abilities and kind of build your own hero. It's a cool way to approach the game. Like, I'm not playing ranked anymore. I'm not like, oh god, I need to like get my Dota wins.
Yeah,
in, or
how
I'm
long
gonna go
until you are,
crazy.
though, Ben?
Yeah, this
Honestly,
seems
I'm
like-
already kind of dropping off again.
Okay, all
Did you
right.
spend money already, Ben?
No money. There's there's nothing to spend money on right now.
There's always an
but
arcana.
there is a new Rubik Arcana. It's
There you go.
$40. It's
Holy
great,
shit.
but I'm not going to buy that.
What?
But in terms of new video games, fuck Dota. I played a lot of Time Spinner over the last few days, which
Yeah.
is that
First person shooter, you get the monkey.
Yeah, they're on fire. It's
Man,
really funny.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, it's that Symphony of the Night alike.
Yeah, well, I feel like so I played some of this as well.
A lot of
And it seems like the game is very similar in look and stuff like that, but like tonally, it seems like a pretty different thing.
Yes, it apes a lot of the trappings around it. The menus, the little name of the enemy popping up in the corner.
Yeah.
But in terms of like your weapons, those are quite different. So you equip yourself with orbs, and you kind of have 2 orbs that each do a different thing. Sometimes they're kind of magic based, like a long range lightning shot, or sometimes they're melee focused, like a big hammer will come down that's slower. So you can kind of customize and you can build different loadouts and really hot swap between them, which I really enjoy because like sometimes sometimes you're up against a slower enemy and you want those like bigger hitting moves.
Sometimes you need a hammer. Sometimes you need a flaming orb.
Exactly. It's just like life.
Yes.
I don't know. I really like it. It's just very breezy. I don't feel like it hits too many high highs. I think it's like just some video game ass video
Okay.
games.
All right.
I like those.
Finally.
But it's nice, it's nice to like kind of go through it and I guess the biggest thing that makes this different is there's a time stop button. So you have like a little Prince of Persia hourglass in the corner, and anytime you can hit triangle to stop time, and then you can like platform around on the enemies. You can position yourself better. I think
like
that's
get up to
really
some
cool.
secret areas and
Yeah,
stuff
like
like that.
hop on
yeah.
a dude's head and find yourself in a little secret area. It's a neat game. I actually really like the music. Each area has kind of a very distinct sound to it. It's not all like that kind of orchestral,
Yeah, it does. Like, I guess that's the thing about that game is like it feels like it is referential to Symphony of the Night in some fairly direct ways, but it doesn't feel like they went out of their way to just make that game again.
No,
Like, it definitely has its own like look and its own sound. It definitely, like, obviously, like the story is a very different thing.
yeah,
too.
it's cool. It's like a story about two nations at war, and you're trying to both figure out what happened and kind of the very beginning of the game, you get flung into the past or the future. I can't.
You kind of come out the other end like not necessarily knowing where
you're
you
in
are.
a
It's
time
like, oh,
that is not your
we
own.
were the time machine was blown up as I was going through it, and now I'm here, and I guess I should figure out how to rebuild a time machine or do whatever we're doing. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the story
Spinning
kind of
license plate on the tracks, and it's on fire, and there's a whole thing, and
it's cool. It's a really solid game. I feel like I'm coming up, not necessarily on the end, but I feel like I'm getting close to it after, I don't know, 8-10 hours. So I think that it's not the longest experience. I'm prepared to be revealed of like, oh, there's 4 other worlds.
The upside down.
Yeah.
Upside down past. So, there's probably something there, some sort of true ending to achieve. But I really like it. I think that if you, like Jeff was saying, it's not just another game like that, even though your first impression upon loading it up will be like, oh, they're just trying to make this game. It's like, no, they are heavily influenced and really like this other game that they wanted to take and adapt to their own style.
It seems like almost just more referential or something. Like they sat down and said, we're going to make one of those games. And then they went off in their own direction. But actually, let's just make the menus look like this, or like the trappings around it,
and
are recall Symphony, but like it's not.
Yeah, there's stuff like
Symphony.
there are like familiars that can hang out with you, but it's way more of an in-depth system than the one from Symphony of the Night, which only had I think like 3 that
it was kind of a different, and that was like a puzzle solving. Like, hey, do this thing.
And there's your I forget what they call it, like arcanas or something that
Okay,
are like
$40. All right.
like your double jumps and your wall grabs and stuff like that are similar to Castlevania, but again, different in their own way.
Yeah.
It's a cool game.
Yeah, it seems neat.
Yeah.
I have played way less of it than you have, but I don't know. You can rewind time.
It's cool.
Spin time.
You can spin it.
Yeah.
Slow down, flip it, and reverse it.
Oh well, I'm that's
It's
too- okay.
Oh God, is something wrong with audio?
Yeah, if you could just turn this microphone over here
right.
off completely, that would be that'd probably fix it.
Copy that.
Jan, how about you? You've been playing stuff over the break. You just relax, doing like some nothing. What's up?
I've been staying up really late because a game that almost made the top 10 of my end of the year list. Citus 2, little phone rhythm game, has been keeping me up at night.
Yeah.
These sick beats.
Oh.
I haven't played it like a hardcore rhythm game since, I don't know, maybe Rhythm Heaven on the DS. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
And how this one works, there's a line that bounces up and down on the screen to keep tempo with the song, and then notes will pop up that you tap or you hold, or there's cool ones where you like follow a track that kind of syncs up with the music, where like there'd be a record scratch or like a dubstep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I've heard those.
Or
everyone's favorite dubstep noise.
Yeah. I think Skrillex invented that one.
Yeah.
And it's neat.
He was just rubbing a microphone on the side of his undercut a little bit.
Well, he had hooked
ran
the
that
mic
through a guitar amp, and then
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how that happened.
Yeah.
And it's neat. I got it on sale for like 99 cents. It's normally just $2. And then you get 3 characters, and you get more songs as you level up these characters, and that's just by playing the songs on harder difficulties.
What did the different characters get you?
Just kind of like different genres of music. Like one character is framed like she's a DJ, so she kind of has more synthy, vocal heavy songs. There's a robot which kind of has more hardcore industrial dubstep sounding songs.
The folk singer.
Yeah, and then there's one that's framed like she's a pro gamer streaming or whatever, and then she kind of has like these grandiose. She kind of has like the cheek marks.
Okay.
And she has like grandiose piano heavy RPGs sounding like music. And then it's kind of mixed around. The bummer part for me though is that the easy mode is like too easy, where like the tempo or like rhythm keeper that you have to match the notes with is too slow, and there aren't enough notes to hit.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like kind of
And the hard mode is actually not that bad. It gets to like a proper amount of hectic, but I'm playing with my thumbs, So I'm missing notes where it could be getting perfect.
Oh,
I'm looking on YouTube and people are like with their giant iPad just tapping with all of their fingers.
Oh gosh.
The other bummer,
if you get one of those capacitive styluses and then break it in half because one on each hand, and you can just tap it out that way. Yeah.
And it's neat. I really dig the music. The other bummer I'd say is that there are more characters, but they're $10 a pop.
Whoa! What?
Huh.
Yeah, but they do come with like 8 to 10 songs.
Okay.
Yeah. And like you're progressing a general story throughout as you're leveling up these characters.
I do like that better than the alternative, which was what I thought you were going to say, which was it's a gotcha thing. You have to roll for new characters and spend probably hundreds of dollars.
They're pretty apparent with like, hey, this is $10. We occasionally go on sale, but that's like once or twice throughout the year.
And I guess if it's $1 or $2 to get in, that's probably.
And you're getting like 30-ish songs.
That seems reasonable.
It's neat. Also, the neat thing, there's no fail state. So if you really suck at the game, it's not going to fail you out of a song.
Cool. You'd still kind of
and like it doesn't like if you tap on a note and it's not with tempo or whatever, you're not going to get you're getting it wrong or whatever. You just keep playing through.
Does it just not play the note or
you don't hear like a confirmation note? You can turn that option on, but then it's kind of taking you out of music or whatever. Yeah, it's neat. I suggest it. It's
What's the name of it again?
Cytus 2. CYTUS.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from Retroarch Games.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might give that a look.
Yeah, it's neat.
Retroarch Games.
Yeah. I got my.
Hey Jeff, what are you playing?
Everything. I'm playing
Shit.
all these Amiga games.
Yeah.
All this.
What's the best Amiga game? People love these questions.
Yeah.
What's the best blank?
Yeah.
Especially when they haven't had any time to prepare.
Everyone at home who, everyone in the UK right now is just like, it's lemons. That's
Lemmings?
No, I don't know. Lemmings was a big Amiga game at the time.
Okay.
That's
an acceptable answer, I feel like.
No,
not knowing any Amiga games.
Yeah. Huckleberry Hound, probably. Yeah. It's definitely up there. It's definitely up there.
If people haven't played it, they should check it out.
Up there with Allo Allo.
That will be their new favorite Amiga game.
Absolutely. So I had been slowly waiting for parts to show up and some other stuff like that.
For your Mr.
For my Mister, which is an offshoot of the Mist project.
MIST?
Yeah. And Mister is a slightly friendlier take on that stuff. And what that is it's just going to be more confusing. An FPGA-based device that can be used to play and more or less emulate
Would I be
simulate
semi-accurate in saying hardware-based emulation?
That's probably a way to look at it. Okay. Yeah, it's in an ideal situation, it is a cycle-accurate recreation of an Amiga or another console or computer of yore. In practice, that stuff is still coming along. Like there's still incompatibilities here and there. It's not perfect. But what it is a device that, people write cores for that then kind of emulate other pieces of computing history, So whether that's a PDP-1, whether that's an Amiga, whether that's a Mac Plus or a Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx 16, like that sort of stuff. Like it plays a wide variety of things. It's not unlike a Raspberry Pi in that sense, but it feels like the upper end of this FPGA-based approach is potentially more accurate than what you would get if you just bought a Raspberry Pi and threw Emulation Station or Lacka or some of the other stuff on it. And it's very tinkery. It's a lot of like shell scripts that are updating the cores automatically, but some of that stuff can be run.
You're buying
through
like
the interface.
RAM upgrades,
you're buying student hardware and bolting things onto it that people have made for this specific purpose and hooking up USB devices to it to control it. And
it's crazy.
And then playing Galaga and going, hey, this is neat. It's Galaga. The aspect ratio seems like it might be slightly wrong, but hey, it's Galaga. So like I said, it's an open source project, so there's a bunch of different people contributing to it, and so it's like every day there's a little bit of new advancement here and there. Like we adjusted the timing in this core, and this thing changed.
And like bug fixes. I'm sure.
Yeah. And so like this morning I woke up and they're like, we added support for up to 6 players now. So for Super Nintendo games that are more than 2 player, we now support the kind of multi-tap concept, and you can kind of go that way with it. So. Like those sorts of changes are kind of just rolling in all the time. So I've been fucking around with that thing for the past week or two. And we played some of it on UPF last week. and it's fun. It's like I said, it's very tinkery. Right now, I think it's in a state where if you are familiar with just kind of more standard emulation, whether it's like RetroArch or, you know, some of the BizHawk or some of this other kind of standalone stuff, WinUAE or whatever, you're not going to immediately see the difference because, you know, it's all running relatively well on modern PCs too. But some of this stuff is definitely running better here than I think it would on a Raspberry Pi. So those things are relatively underpowered for what they do. Yeah. And then you've got, you know, like little hints of people working on additional stuff, like someone's working on Jaguar support, which, you know, Jaguar emulation is not great. So hopefully someone comes up with something cool there.
What's the status of 3DO?
It's you can play 3DO games on a PC real well.
Real well?
Real well.
Okay.
Well,
as
well as you ever could. Yeah, I guess that's, you know, but slightly higher resolution if you want.
Okay.
If you want to learn about, you know, math tricks, about, you know, the math magics of how to remember numbers like 1492 by turning them to words like turban, I recommend emulating a 3DO.
Big time.
Playing, I believe it's called Math Magics.
What's that game show?
Twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have had a list in the back of my head about games that I need to bring in here and make us all suffer through, and Twisted is definitely on that list.
Totally.
I've seen a selected sampling of clips from Twisted.
Yo, that game sucks. We need to play it.
All right.
We need to play it. Maybe
Road Rash had the cool intro. I'm not sure what other versions had that intro, that FMV
the FMV
intro.
stuff. Yeah, that was maybe the PlayStation, because some of those video games came to PlayStation and Saturn.
Yeah.
once
it became apparent that no one was going to buy a 3DO.
Which
was about a week before the 3DO came out, I think.
Yeah.
3DO, no.
Yeah. That thing, man. What a fucking disaster.
I had a 3DO for a hot minute.
It was so expensive.
Yeah,
Did you
it was
pay
like
full?
$700?
Did you pay that $700? Okay,
Jesus.
I was going to say, when you say things like I had it for a hot minute, that sounds like you didn't necessarily get it at full price.
No.
And maybe borrowed one for a while or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was like a rental kind of situation. Long story. Anyway.
And they said, please keep it. You can
no,
have it.
It always is with the 3DO or the CDI for that matter. But it was... What? What's your favorite CDI game?
Mr. Phillips.
Hotel Mario.
Oh, God.
Get out.
It's a bad game.
Any console with a Zelda and a Mario is great.
There you go. All right. The CDI is up there. Thunder in Paradise.
Where were we? Amiga.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a ton of experience with the Amiga, even though I owned an Amiga, I wasn't playing a ton of games on it.
I looked at screenshots longingly in like computer magazines and such. Yeah.
But I was more of a Commodore 64 kind of guy.
Okay.
Or I played a lot more games on the C64 just because they were around, and it was harder to get my hands on Amiga stuff, even though I had an Amiga. Yeah, so that's been really neat. It was a fun thing to fuck around with for sure. Like,
totally.
Just in terms of tinkery weird stuff,
bolting shit on.
And there's a bunch of Patreons around it where like the main guy has a Patreon. There's another guy who is doing a ton of Neo Geo research, who is apparently going to work on a core for Neo Geo stuff. But he's also working on an ODE for the Neo Geo CD.
Okay.
What's an ODE?
An ODE is an optical drive emulator, I think is what that stands for. It's the idea of, hey, what if instead of putting discs in this thing, we put SD cards?
Yeah.
And so, there's stuff like that for the Saturn. There's GDMU for the Dreamcast. PSIO was a recent PlayStation one for some PlayStations if you want to solder some shit. And I think that stuff's super exciting too, because moving parts fucking suck. When it comes to old ass consoles that are only getting older.
Yeah, optical drives are notorious for going out.
So if you can still say, hey, this is real hardware, but we have, now I don't need to keep these CDs in here spinning. I don't need to keep replacing belts on this thing.
Yep. Or if I could maybe even speed up loading times.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
That's great too.
Yeah. That stuff I think is super fucking cool. But I've not really invested too much in that for anything yet. I did because the solution that's available now for Saturn, the guy who makes them seems to only open up pre-orders like in the dead of night. Well, the dead of night U.S. time, like once a month or so, and they're just gone like that. So the last time they opened up pre-orders for them and I was in a position to buy one, I didn't know which model of Saturn I had because you need to open it up and look at the board. And so I was like, fuck, and ran and grabbed this. I have a Saturn with a dead drive in it. So I'm
Threw
like,
it on the
shit,
ground,
fuck, grab that,
open it
find
up.
a screwdriver, crack it open. By the time I said, this looks like a Rev 1, I think this is a Rev. And by the time I'd figured that out, they were sold out. So,
Oh my god.
so that
wow.
was that.
What you got to do is get the app, and then the app puts you in you sign into
Queue,
the app,
yeah.
and
Okay,
it puts you into
yeah.
the queue, which enters you into a raffle.
Okay, we'll get a random drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let Nike run the fucking pre-order process for these. That'll fix it.
That'll fix it.
Yeah, that's it, and it's just a deep, sick rabbit hole. I know. I feel like when
But it's not a horribly expensive one either.
it
like,
can
well, I'm sure it could be.
be.
Yeah, but yeah, just to get like what you've got so far, you've paid like 150 or so.
Yeah. For the Mr. stuff is yeah. That's like
Yeah.
I've put out maybe 100, and I'd say including the SD cards that are
Right.
in that thing, just under $200 probably.
Okay.
That's totally reasonable for access to
Yeah. Well,
something you wouldn't
yeah. It's
otherwise. Like I have no way to play Amiga games.
right. Well, you do because you have a PC.
Yeah.
and
But like
that's you could do that.
the
there.
way that they're meant to be played.
That's I wouldn't necessarily say that this thing is the way that they were originally meant to be
Then
played.
why'd you
but
do it, Jeff?
Because it's fucking rad.
It's a fun project.
Yeah,
to, like,
it's,
bolt
it's
this
a
stuff.
fun
Yeah.
tinkery
and
project.
configure all
It's,
this stuff,
You know,
yeah.
it's got LED lights on the boards, and it's like people are out
Fucking
there.
open PCB, and it's encased in like a clear, acrylic. It just looks cool.
Yeah, I don't have mine in any kind of case at all. People are like 3D printing cases for these things.
Oh, I
and all this
bet.
other
Sure.
stuff. And
This one looks just like an Amiga.
yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, we should get Peter Brown back on one of these days. 'Cause I think he's been falling down some similar rabbit holes with this stuff lately. But it's stuff that I never thought I would. Just overall, like not just the Mister, but just like all this stuff over the last 6 months or so for me. Like I remember we were kind of giving Drew shit when he was like, "Yeah, I got some SCART cables and I bought a FrameMeister," and I was like, "Man, what that shit's crazy." And now
Shit's
here I am.
fun.
I'm like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Oh no! Like I'm on Discord servers where people are posting pictures of up close pictures of their PVMs, and, and I'm just like, fuck! I gotta get out! I gotta get out!
Do you have a PVM?
No,
The only way
I
out is
don't.
down.
I don't want a PVM.
Okay, because that opens up
Yeah,
a lot.
What's a PVM?
it's a TV.
Personal video monitor.
Yeah, it's like it's like the sort of TV. What is it? It's like a TV with SDI connections or BNC connectors on the
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So it's like a professional TV.
Okay.
Like you would put in a TV studio in a row of screens as you were switching live or doing some kind of editing.
Not just
Something
a
that
TV,
like
it's a
no
professional
person
TV.
really needs in their home.
I think I might have taken one from my college then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What-
it
what
has
brand?
like BNC connections.
yeah. That's
What brand?
there's
I
some
don't
of those that have real low latency, real
Yeah.
good geometry,
Yeah.
like real good shape on there's people.
Let's talk.
I might have to dig that out.
Yeah,
God damn it.
people.
Not that I
Th-
stole
I'm
it from
calling
my
the
college.
alumni
Yeah, no.
services. You're going
they,
down.
They call me every week anyway, so it's fine.
They never
Yeah.
call me.
Good.
Yeah.
They said we kicked you out the door, kind of. Just go ahead, go out into the world.
Good luck out there,
Yeah.
but keep paying us, or we'll find you. Or keep the PVM. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you're doing them a favor, honestly,
yeah.
by clearing that stuff out. Yeah, it's a super deep rabbit hole that like I am further down than I initially wanted to be, and now that I'm here, it feels pretty good.
Yeah.
But like there's that feeling of overlooking yet another. Like looking over yet another cliff into this further abyss of just like I could get way deeper into this nonsense.
I've started tripping down a rabbit hole of getting really into Third Strike.
Now's the time.
Now is the
There's never been
time.
a better time to play. I hear it's a good game.
It's you should play it.
Yeah. All right.
I
You seem sober.
I don't, it's not. I played a bunch of Third Strike last week. There's a place here in the city called Emporium. It's like a barcade. They've got, a bunch of machines, and then upstairs they have like the degenerate stuff away from the kind of cool area where all the people play like Blitz and games that they kind of know. It's like,
Cool games.
well, I mean, a game that you can like NBA Jam, like that average people wandering into a barcade will be like, I remember this.
But see, that's where the degenerates should be because that's where the money is to be made.
well, yeah.
Just
So
hustling people at Blitz.
upstairs is pool and fighting games.
Okay, no, you're okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's where the degenerates go.
Yep.
And I played a bunch of Third Strike, and then Cooperation Cup is what happened just a few days ago, which is this kind of legendary 5v5 team tournament where all the best Third Strike players come together for this huge team. Like it's basically it's a really cool format for a tournament. It's teams of 5, and you just kind of, it's a crew battle. So you get one shot, you get one game, and then if you win, they send in another person to try and counter match you. And it's cool watching.
So it's like teams of 5 strive to survive.
Exactly. There's 100 people.
Okay, all right.
And just like seeing this game that's 20 something years old
it's getting there.
at this point, and like it's such a
high level of mastery out there. Like
like all characters too. You see like this dude rock Q in a way against a Chun-Li player, and he'll just demolish them. And it's really.
It's
watching a fighting game
at
that has
level,
been, it's like Marvel 2, it's like Melee in some ways. It's a game where that people have been playing at such a high level now that it's all about the matchups. They like know, like, okay, in the Ken versus Yun matchup, this is what I need to do as Ken, and blah, blah, blah. And hearing commentators talk about that sort of stuff is a really cool insight for somebody like me who knows very little about the game. Just kind of like, I know what the characters do. I know who the good characters are.
You can throw a fireball.
I can throw a
Did you
fireball.
know? Okay, here's some.
I can low forward.
Okay, okay. You already knew it. Okay, I had some tech for you, but apparently they covered that.
It's called a cancel.
And so I started like, looking up YouTube tutorials and stuff. And, I'm actually going back later today and going to play some more and see what happens.
That's cool, man. I want to get into something with you.
Yeah,
like
we were talking
year.
about wanting to play a fighting game a little more seriously than
either get into something new that comes out this year or go back to something that's like I've actually booted up like Street Fighter 5 recently, and I've been kind of getting into that. Like I followed the season 4 stuff and some of the changes, and God damn it, I got some fight money and I bought some stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
they
I
said
started
there's
getting down that hole.
Character pass this or season pass, right?
They put out
year.
that new character and
the
didn't
Kage,
sell a pass with it.
Yeah, I think they came out and said just like,
I don't think they've confirmed.
Okay.
But also they've hinted that
there may
be not a pass
towards the end of new characters for that game. Do you think that's what that means?
Maybe. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. But
I think they could add one more without having to revamp the select screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean,
the evilest Ryu.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Non-violent Ken.
Evil Oni.
Evil Uni. It's got a unicorn. No. Anyway, that game.
They're going to put Kenny Omega in it at this point.
Oh God, yes.
And then splatter Capcom ads all over him.
Oh God.
Did I just out my crush for Kenny Omega there? God, wow. That was a reaction.
It happens.
Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, it's been a long. We were talking. It's been a long time since
Yeah.
either of us have really like labbed out a fighting game
Right.
and spent the time to like learn combos and other than just like very basic.
Seriously, yeah. Like the one that we both got into was like a cross tag battle.
Yeah.
Blaze Blue. But then we have to move on to other stuff, and it's like, no, I want to keep playing this game for a while.
Well, when do you think the best? I mean, it seems like the best time to do that is when a game is new, because then everyone's doing it at the same time, and you kind of stand a chance at least early on.
Or a game that's still established. That's why I think Street Fighter 5 might.
I was gonna say a game that's still
good choice.
established, though. You've got people that have been sticking with it all the time who are just there to fuck you up.
Yeah, maybe, but it's a new day, man. It's a new season. Maybe that'll help a little.
Yeah,
bit.
Zangief got buffed, so who knows?
There you go.
Okay,
You got a
all
good
right.
standing medium punch again.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But I was thinking, like, what fighting games would even be coming out this year?
Yeah, I know.
There's MK11.
Mortal
but-
MK11, DOA just got pushed.
Oh, that's right,
back
DOA,
even.
yeah.
This got
They announced that new Arxis Grand Blue game. I don't know if that's this year though.
Blue Fantasy, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know. So, yeah, it would have to be something established. But
I have been
that's
playing
that's what I'm eyeing up.
One more quick shout out to a game is I've been putting a lot more time into Smash Ultimate. Got through. I'm into. It's a weird thing to talk about spoilers for the single player of Smash Brothers, but I've gotten to a point in the World of Light. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
World of Light mode where things change. And
Things get dark.
Everyone isn't here.
nobody's here.
Oh my God.
And I'm continually amazed by just how clever some of the scenarios for the setups of World of Light battles are. Yeah, and it actually gets to a point. So I was kind of breezing through on easy, just not worrying about my spirit management, not worrying about getting a spirit that counters the other spirit class and picking the right sub-spirits and all of that. But it does get to a point where they make things a little more challenging, a little more interesting in that regard. It takes like fucking 35 hours to get there, but once it does, it becomes pretty rewarding. And I've been playing online too. I think the netcode, I don't know if they've been working to make it better, but it feels good recently. It's felt really good.
I feel like
it was never bad, or on average, it was good, but I've never had the lows that I was having after the first couple of weeks.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah.
Maybe people that are sticking with it are, ones that are wired or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That game's fun. I there's some really weird design choices in a lot of the menus and options and stuff. But
yeah, that stuff's just getting around from mode to mode.
Yeah.
Is weird. Like it's specifically for me. It's that the directions you push on the left stick from that main menu don't often correspond to the things where they are positioned around the edges of the screen. You're just like they did it a different way. And
the most fucked up is on assigning controller mappings, because the boxes are all over the place, and you don't really ever know what direction you're going in.
That's a little weird.
I
don't know. I kind of fell off that game. Like, I didn't play it very much. I played it like once or twice over the break and unlocked a few more characters and went back in and set up my spirits for 6 more hours of running off, getting shit, and did that like 2 or 3 times. But I just kind of, I don't know, unlocked a few characters and kind of maybe fell off it.
I haven't even unlocked all the characters. What?
Yeah.
I'm missing me.
I'm not coming over to your
swordsman,
place
I think.
until you unlock all the
I know you're a
characters.
me swordsman main, so
Yeah, that's true.
Or are you just doing it the way I did Tekken 3, where you're like, me swordsman is unbalanced and unfair, so I'm never going to unlock him.
Who was that in Tekken 3?
Gone, the little fucking dragon.
Oh,
I had a save that had everyone unlocked but Gone, and I was like, okay, here we go. We're done. Yeah, that's
Anyways, to put a
that's
pin
Smash
on it,
Brothers.
play Third Strike. It's a good game.
Okay. Yeah, that's. Do you have a character in mind?
I'm playing a lot of Ryu.
I've heard of him.
I feel like he's the Ryu
With
of
him,
that game.
so with him, you can do if you walk up to a guy, hold down to duck, and hit the middle bottom button.
It's like a kick.
It's like a kick. It's like a medium
Kicks
kick.
on the bottom, yeah.
And then if you hit that, and then immediately do the fireball.
That's you spin the stick around 2 times and hit all 3 punches.
Exactly, that's the one.
Okay.
Then that's like it's a combo. You can't block that fireball.
Is that what a combo?
If you hit with that kick, that fireball will also hit.
I thought the game was instructing me to eat delicious snack foods.
Oh, it is also doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a whole sponsorship thing.
I don't get a fireball.
That's recently that they patched in the ad ability into Third Strike. They're like, what if we could make a little money around the edges of this thing? It's been
People are still playing this game for some reason. We
got to figure out a way
to
got to make a little extra bucks on this Third Strike stuff. Which version are you? I mean, you're obviously going and playing it in the arcade, but is there a version at home you're playing with? There's that online edition that I hear was quite good.
Yeah, that's probably the one when I get a little more serious that I will be playing, but I haven't been playing much of it outside of the arcades.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for video games we have been playing. Why don't we take a break and we'll come back with some news.
Yes.
And then your emails.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to it with some news.
Educate me.
Story. We're standing on the edge of upheaval in the world of wrestling, Jason.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
We're hours away.
This was discussed during the break.
Yeah.
We needed to prep for this to prep you, Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been out of it for a while.
So there's,
Yeah,
I mean, it's still not official, but there seem to be a lot of reports about this Kenny Omega fellow.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That he did an interview. It was over the weekend. I
He's
think it
a
ran
Jimbo.
in Japan, where he basically said,
I'm done
with
New
New
Japan."
Japan, which I feel like he has kind of said before.
He did that the first time he
like
lost to
after a
Okada.
loss, it was like, okay, I'm going to step away for a while.
Yeah,
and
that's-
it's like a good storyline thing.
Yeah.
So hard to take at face value.
He and I hung out and stuff, and
Yeah.
that didn't really happen.
Oh,
we played Street Fighter.
He played
once.
some Street Fighter on stream. How'd you do?
I did okay. He said.
Okay. How many did you win though?
I don't remember. There were some. I don't remember. Maybe I
Convenient.
didn't.
Okay.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe win more, lose more. Who
Okay.
knows?
Yeah. That's how it goes.
How do I win more at Kenny Omega?
Well, I don't know. There's he's been a very hot topic here since the announcement of All Elite Wrestling, which they're having their rally in a couple of hours here where they will probably announce some more details about
Some
what
new
is
signees, maybe,
hopefully,
or what it is,
or what it. Yes, what is this thing?
Who's running AEW?
That is going to be. It's a contingent of wrestlers who have appeared in New Japan and around.
It's Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. It is the Young Bucks.
I'm sorry, Jason.
Okay.
It's Cody.
Cody? Okay, sorry.
So all
Just
of
Cody.
the AEW stuff has been signed Cody Rhodes.
Oh, really?
In a way that makes
Interesting.
you think that he's bringing it back for this.
Brad, if you're out there listening, please come back. I need somebody else to help push through this.
So
Please save us.
what Kenny Omega will do has been the hot topic
Yes.
because he was not included in the initial announcement. New Japan contracts typically go through the end of January. So people sign a deal and it'll go through like January 31st. And
I
they'll
thought it
sign a
was-
new deal every year.
I thought he was doing Hot Topic like he's been doing Razor.
Oh, yeah, no, he's,
Okay.
Like he was wearing some Razor stuff
Yep.
at
Yeah,
Wrestle
Wrestle
Kingdom,
Kingdom.
wasn't
It's
he?
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It was
he
inspired.
He could have done better.
It was
Also-
inspired by it.
No.
it's also
actual-
Rumble season, so there's
Yes,
more
there's
rumors
always-
of like,
yeah.
oh, will he enter the Rumble?
Yes, and of course,
God, I hope not.
lots of talk about WWE wanting him quite a bit.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
And then there are reports going around today saying that he is definitely going with All Elite Wrestling.
Okay.
But that's all word of mouth and hearsay and all this other stuff at this time. No official announcement. But that seems likely.
Is AEW just Bullet Club too?
Yeah, kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that weird angle where they broke up the Bullet Club
Mhm.
and then realized, people really like those shirts.
They're
Yep.
really good shirts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they keep selling.
That was the thing I realized. They're starting this wrestling promotion. Maybe they'll get on TV and all this other stuff. They need better shirts. The pictures of the animals that say
Oh,
the
yeah,
Elite
that's
on it,
really weird.
they're nice, but
Yeah.
like it doesn't stand out in a
Yeah,
crowd the
no.
way
The
the
Bullet
NWO
Club.
shirt
Oh,
did,
right,
the Bullet
yeah.
Club shirt did, and all that sort of
You
stuff.
couldn't
They-
see Akuma wearing one of those.
exactly right. See, you understand this.
I understand
understand
Bullet Club.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. That's been
Huh.
fascinating watching this stuff unfold because it is
Mhm.
potentially a new, like, financially well-backed competitor in the North American wrestling space, which is not something you see every day. So
Yeah, it'll be
that's,
huge if they get a TV deal. Yeah.
Sounds like they're getting some of the right people.
Well, yeah, it sounds like they've got enough money behind them to where
Yeah.
they wouldn't be doing this if they weren't confident they would get a
Right.
TV
Yeah.
deal and maybe
Do
it'll be
you-
a credible competitor.
But it's
Do you
like
think it'd be a weekly type thing to try and directly compete with the WWE, or like
think-
maybe
I
like a
think there's-
monthly type thing?
I think there's room for it. I think if you're monthly, then that's what TNA did when they first launched. It was just a monthly pay-per-view
right.
for like, $5, $10, whatever it was, and no one cared.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like if you're not running enough television to have an ongoing storyline, it's hard to. Well, it leads to YouTube shows. It leads
right.
to wrestlers out there building their brand separate from your brand,
Yeah.
and then launching their own promotion with hundreds of $1 millions of backing later on or something. It's a bizarre scene out there, and it's been fascinating to watch. I guess Kushida is also out of New Japan.
Yeah.
So maybe he would end up over there.
I wonder if
Triple H is a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, he's big,
Wonder if
big
it-
Back to the Future fan.
if instead of a traditional like network deal, if they do like a Netflix deal or something like that.
Yeah. There had been
That
some
might be
talk that
easier to
maybe
get
like a
into.
TBS or like a TNT type thing. Maybe.
No, TV's
Do they
dead.
even? Yeah. Wait. Is getting your new thing on TV? I know it will bring you to an audience, but I feel like isn't WWE All Access their online thing?
No. So because the TV deals actually generate the most money for WWE. And as a result, those weekly television programs are not available online for 30 days.
Okay.
So you still have to have TV. So the actual value wrestling has in today's market is that it is one of the few things like other sports or like sports where it is appointment television. It is stuff that people will watch live. It is stuff that people will watch your network live for. And there's not a lot of that out there in the TV realm. So as television continues to fall apart, they're desperately grabbing for anything that keeps a younger demographic coming to their network.
I see.
And wrestling is a really good fit for that, even if wrestling is sometimes perceived as, oh, the viewers are lower income, we can't attract high income, blah, blah, blah. All this, the demographic stuff is traditionally hard for wrestling because it is sometimes viewed as lower class for whatever reason.
Yeah. Also, unlike regular sports or other programming, there is no off season.
Right. So
There is no
they
break.
Keep,
It's
they
just
keep going.
year-round.
It's a thing you can count on every week. People coming into your network. Though less of them have been coming to
Yeah.
USA as of late.
It kind of speaks to the product.
Yeah, it's not been great. It's not been great.
They got out and apologized for how not great.
They blamed an on-screen character for the quality of the product.
They had an on-screen character get beat up because the show was bad and the ratings were down.
Yeah.
Guess what? Didn't help the ratings. But don't worry. It's a new era.
But that man learned a lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, he sure did.
Shaved his head.
Get out of there while you can.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm fascinated and completely wrapped up in this storyline, this real life drama around starting this new business and all this other stuff, which then means that like they'll just be a wrestling company and then they'll have some wrestling ass storyline that will inherently be less interesting than starting a business and all this other stuff, which is like the same problem they had back when WCW still existed. In other news, SimCity for the NES was released over the break.
For the NES?
For the NES. Yeah.
Release?
It's a brand new release.
Oh.
Yeah, so SimCity came out for the Super Nintendo. Hell of a version of the game.
Yeah.
Pretty different than
monster come.
Yeah. Yes, you can make a monster come. There's a whole button for that dedicated to it. And that monster is Bowser in the Super Nintendo version. So originally the game was in development for the Super Nintendo and the original NES. And that NES version was shown in a couple of spots, but then canceled about a year ago, I think now. A couple copies of it turned up, and the Video Game History Foundation secured one of those copies and has been going at it for like the last year, disassembling it, pulling it apart, looking at all the unused art and all this other stuff. And then over Christmas, they released it on the internet for people to play.
How did they get a hold of a copy to begin with?
A whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They spent a large chunk of money buying it from collectors and getting it and preserving it and all that sort of stuff.
And then releasing it. Whoa.
Yeah, I mean they're a nonprofit. They're running a Patreon, so they've been they've got some benefactors.
Yeah.
Who've been on the show before, and so they secured this copy of the game and were able to preserve it, so to speak. And so over the Christmas break, they put out a really nice pack. It's not just like, hey, here's the ROM, go for it.
Right.
It was like, hey, we've been digging through this and found a bunch of unused sprites, and here's what this might mean as related to what the shipping Super Nintendo version was. And here's some music that was maybe unused. They really, here's they had someone go through a disassembly of the code and try to step through it and comment like, hey, it's doing this. Here's something that's in the code but not hooked up right, and and promotional images that they found throughout kind of the history of the game being announced and canceled and or just going away. I don't know if they ever formally came out and said
like
they
a weird
canceled
digital
it,
art book.
Yeah, more or less.
With liner notes and stuff, and
it's a hot zip file full of cool shit.
Yeah,
so it's a neat way to release that stuff. I think a lot of prototypes, when they get dumped, they just get
here it is
put out there. Like, hey, here's. I think over the break also it was like here's a beta of Tomb Raider for the PlayStation.
Weird
that someone put out, and there was another IDOS game.
So here's my question. Is there any sort of worry about Nintendo involved in this? Because, over the last couple of years, they've made it pretty clear that they're not a fan of ROM sites and stuff like that. And while it's probably to protect their IPs that they're interested in reselling and stuff like that, this is a game that they're never going to sell per se.
And a game that I don't know that they would own 100% of the rights to, because it's SimCity and there's a Will Wright or a Maxis or
That's
an EA
true.
component.
Their stuff did focus
whatever.
on Nintendo games.
So there is part of that, but that was a Nintendo developed and Nintendo published game, SimCity for the SNES anyway. So this stuff made it out to archive.org, which has an exemption from the DMCA. And for kind of historical purposes and that sort of stuff. So I think that there could still be a fight around that stuff, but I think it's a lot murkier than maybe some of the just ROM site shutdown stuff that Nintendo has been doing. So yeah, and either way, it's out there. It's you can't
once it's out there.
Yeah, once it's out there, it's out there. That's the power of the internet. So yeah, it's been interesting. I took a look at it. It's it's not a final version of a game or anything like that. It's definitely a prototype and all that sort of stuff. But you can get it up and running and fuck around with it, and it's a neat little thing.
Same developers, as far as you know.
Yeah, like same design doc, pretty much. Like it's largely it is kind of the same game, just scaled back in a few ways here and there.
Yeah.
Either to meet the needs of the lesser platform, or to just because it wasn't done yet, or something to that effect. It's hard to know in some cases, but
Sure.
but there's a lot of things you can infer by looking at the code and stuff, and they've done that. So that's a fun read. It's a fun thing to dig through if you're interested in that sort of thing. That's the documentation around it is out there with the Video Game History Foundation.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's cool. Alien Blackout has been announced. It is due out later this month. I'll set this up in the most fucking gotcha way possible. Here you go. It's the follow-up to Alien Isolation. Remember that game?
Yeah.
That was a good game, right? It's the follow-up to that. Cool, right?
Okay.
Not Alien Colonial
Right,
Marines.
I know,
not
I
that.
know, I
Alien
know.
Isolation.
Yeah, I
like
know.
that was a generally well-received game.
Yeah, it was spooky, bad
Never
save points
played
and
it.
stuff. Sure, I remember that game.
Yeah. Well, this is the follow-up to that.
Just have the aliens like choking you right up till you would pass out.
I hope so. I don't
You
know.
said this is Alien Blackout, right?
Yeah, Alien Blackout.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole. They give you a dirtbag handshake, and there's a whole thing.
Stop it. So
Throw
100,
punches. This is
100 aliens?
no. This is a mobile game.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
You know what? Nah.
Yeah, they're billing it as a follow-up to Isolation, which I think is
Weird.
maybe the weird
I
part.
saw something about this. Does it like it? Does this game have Ridley in it?
So
Let him read the damn thing.
it has a Ridley in it. Here we go. Here's from the press release. This year, fans of the critically acclaimed Alien Isolation video game aren't always good when your quote says the acclaimed game name video game.
Game name.
Like that's always like a good sign of like here's a quote from here's a well-written
People who know.
people who know. Gamers rise up. Fans of the critically acclaimed Alien Isolation video game are invited to embark on new adventures with Ellen Ripley's daughter, Amanda, by watching, playing, and reading her story as she renews her fight against the aliens after the events of Isolation. 20th Century Fox will partner with a wide range of storytellers and innovators to bring this epic chapter in the Alien universe to life, with even more entries in Amanda Ripley's story soon to be announced. So, this game's from D3 Go.
Oh, weird. I didn't know that they had a
Who's that?
Go division.
So that's D3 Publisher is a publisher of budget games, largely.
But sometimes really, really fun games.
Like
EDF.
The ultimate budget game.
EDF kind of is the ultimate budget game.
Yeah, it is.
D3 Go is at one point D3 Publisher of America rebranded itself as D3 Go and started exclusively focusing on mobile.
Okay. Gotcha.
Was what that is, and they're doing this game. Whereas it was Creative Assembly? The developers of Alien Isolation, Sega published that thing.
Oh, sure.
That was a big full-fledged console release. This just seems like it's a weird thing to bill it as a follow-up to Isolation, because it seems, well, I mean, I guess in story it is.
Right.
But in construction and platform and all that other stuff, it is very different. And I think that's weird.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that. Maybe this game will be fine. Like I'm not sitting here going like fucking mobile games are lame.
Do you feel like they kind of maybe have run out of chances on making a really stellar Alien console game, and they need to like
I feel like that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Like there's not even. I think you would have to do more to the Alien brand at this point to expose it to more people,
You
to
need
get them
another
excited
Prometheus
about.
movie.
There you go.
And then we may have a Prometheus game.
But I don't know. Like
Walk around in a
are
cave.
people still excited for Alien? Like people of a certain age, I'm sure would be.
Yes, there's a reverence for
but-
Alien that will probably never fully go away. But yeah, we're not
Never got it.
adding new fans into the Alien.
No, like they're not. None of the stuff they've been doing is just like,
universe.
oh, now I'm on board. At
Raising my kid to be an Alien fan.
At best, it's like kids discovering the original movies and getting way into it or something.
Sure.
Or I don't know. That's weird.
Is it said anything about what type of game it is besides the
Right.
follow-up to Isolation?
Let me pop my email open here and see if they.
I
have
hope
any
it's like
other-
the original Alien, and you don't actually see any xenomorphs in it. And
Well, I mean,
for
it's called Blackout. Maybe
the
it's
most
just,
most of the game.
premium survival horror mobile game.
Oh, a premium one.
Developed by Rival Games and Theory Interactive. And D3 Go is also involved there somewhere along the way. I'm looking at a trailer.
Does it look spooky?
It's a first person, not a lot of
Yeah,
light in the trailer. There's a the motion tracker thing. And then everything went dark, and then there were alien noises.
Oh no, are you guys okay?
I'll let you know because this trailer's almost over.
Yeah, and then there's the logo for the game.
Not a great ratio there on your likes and dislikes.
They're doomed.
That doesn't matter.
No, but it matters a little bit because if this is your first thing and the public opinion is already that low.
I mean, you kind of have to know going in that making a alien game that is on mobile, you're going to anger the people that care about alien games on console and PC and stuff. So
I heard from one guy that he likes aliens and he doesn't like alien video games, so this is gonna suck.
Okay, well there you go.
I hope the phone game has all of it. There are no spelling errors in the.
What makes a premium?
They're going to charge money for it. I think is probably usually what that means.
Okay, I don't know if that was like the AAA equivalent of like mobile.
That's probably
okay.
It's not necessarily, but I'm guessing in this case that's probably what it means. It's out January 24th.
Okay.
So people will know soon enough, I guess. Yeah. I don't know, not especially interested.
I thought you said Ridley before.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I just rolled with it.
I might have said Ridley.
Yeah. Close enough. PlayStation Classic, that hot item. Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
Everyone can't get enough. It's in the studio somewhere. It is now widely available for $60.
$60
down from $100. That's a pretty big price cut, and that's not
you could say that is priced to move.
I don't know. I think it could get lower if you really want to move it.
Yeah. It is priced to get warmed up.
Yes, it's priced to get its shoes on and get ready to move after maybe cutting another $20 to $30 off of it.
Okay.
This is across the board, seemingly across all online stores, Amazon, Target, all this other stuff. That thing's a bad device.
Is there any way to fix it?
Oh yeah.
No, I mean not by yourself, but is there any way for Sony to fix it?
At this
point, with a firmware update, that could say, hey, use the 60 hertz versions. Hey, here's some different games.
Yeah, here's some new games.
I mean, if they pulled them all back in and retooled them and put them back out, maybe. But it doesn't.
But there's not a way to update the firmware,
I'm not going to say no, because there probably is some way. But it would be like, hey, download this to a USB stick, then put it in here and flash it, and that doesn't seem like something that is likely to happen.
That is a pretty big jump. Or a pretty big ask, I guess.
Yeah, for a thing that was designed to be, here's a simple device for you to plug into your TV and play these 20 games.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of SD slot or
It's got USB ports on it.
It's got USB. So maybe, I don't know, here's a behind the sky theory. What if they were just here's the update pack. It fixes a bunch of shit and it's got 10 new games on it and it's on this USB stick and you can buy it for $20.
People have already made their own update pack.
With their own games.
Their own PlayStation games, or all PlayStation games, as it turns out. It sounds like from people who have been poking around at it, there was basically no security on this thing at all.
Right.
Well, you could just straight up hit escape on a keyboard, right, and bring up a debug menu.
Yeah, there was that for sure. But it sounds like people are syncing new games to it, and USB storage is an option, and it sounds like there's some power limitations that they were looking to get past by just plugging in a bigger power supply or splitting the power supply and plugging in USB there instead of the ports on the front, which I guess are too low power to drive anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are ways out there. If you search around online, there are ways to fill this thing full of PlayStation games. I don't know how well they run though. The device. There was a time when people were saying that hacked SNES classics were better at running PlayStation games than this thing was out of the box. And now that people are hacking this, I don't know if they've been able to kind of repair that end of things. But there are, I believe there's a version of RetroArch that you can install on this as well. I'm not sure if that exists yet or if that's coming, but there's there was a push to unify all of these hacking methods that people are using for the SNES Classic and the NES Classic. There was kind of a Mod My Classic, kind of get it all together under one roof easy to deploy
Yeah, of course,
across
yeah.
multiple targets type of deal.
That's pretty smart.
To hack this stuff, I still think $60 is expensive for what you get.
Yep.
Even if you are gonna hack it, it still seems like you could do better elsewhere.
Totally.
But I could be wrong on that.
I like me some small consoles. They're pretty adorable, but
It's not small enough to be adorable. The
Yeah.
PlayStation Classic is not quite small enough
okay.
to look at and go like, yay!
It's cute then.
It's not.
it's
It's
cute.
like it's.
It's cute-ish.
It is cute.
It could be cuter. It could definitely be cuter.
You could be
It
cute.
was had Hello Kitty on it.
There you go.
Just slap
Yeah.
a sticker on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Little
I
yin-yang
need to paint the whole
sticker on there.
thing.
Okay.
How about a Yin Yang Twins sticker?
They're going back
yeah.
on tour.
There you go.
Yeah, with B2K.
Okay. Done. Speaking of Retroarch, it is coming to the Xbox One.
Yeah, how does this shit work?
Okay, so Retroarch, for people who don't know,
Yeah.
it's kind of a front end for emulators.
Yeah.
People make cores or port existing emulators to its kind of API or whatever. So it's like, okay, this popular Messin has been ported to Retroarch, or it's actually anyway. And now you can run NES games on Retroarch, and now you can run these PlayStation games, Saturn games. Like it's a kind of multi emulator. It's a front end. A lot of people had a lot of different opinions about it, depending on which side of that situation they are on.
What side of history they're on?
I am of the opinion that it exists.
There you go.
You're on the right side of history.
Hell yeah.
I
Me and
don't especially like the way they handle MAME, but what are you gonna do?
Abe Lincoln.
So, if you remember correctly,
Probably do.
any Xbox One can be a dev kit.
Yo,
Remember that promise?
I do remember that.
They made good on
promise.
that promise,
Mhm.
and eventually made it so you could buy basically you would create a dev account
Mhm.
and be able to reboot your Xbox One into a dev mode.
Okay.
And then you'd be able to code your stuff on a Windows 10 machine and sideload it onto an Xbox One for testing before theoretically eventually selling it on the Microsoft Store.
How much is it to get into this business?
I believe right
Of
now,
making games.
right now it may be free. Normally,
Huh.
getting that dev account, I want to say is like $20.
Okay.
But I saw some talk around this saying, hey, actually, right now, getting that dev mode activation is free.
Okay.
So
So
you
cheap and easy to get into this.
Yes.
Okay.
Either way, $20 or
Yeah.
$0, somewhere around zero in the grand scheme of things. Now, Microsoft is not going to allow something like this to appear on their official store and be deployed to retail Xbox Ones. So the idea here is that you, the end user, would get a dev certificate and sideload it onto your
Okay.
Xbox One yourself,
Gotcha.
and then be able to play it from there. When you reboot it, you'd have to reboot into dev mode to play it, and then boot back into retail mode to play your other Xbox One games. But it's not a jailbreak. It's not a hack. It's all kind of
Yeah.
on the up and up because those Xbox Ones are versatile in that specific way.
Right.
And I don't think this is quite out yet. I think I want to say that the UWP version of Retroarch is out there, but maybe the emulation cores are not. So you can maybe get it downloaded, but can't quite do anything with it yet. That might have changed by now. That was just the last time I looked in on it. And that's cool.
I'm certainly interested in doing this, especially if it's kind of on the up and up.
Kind of.
They
on
should
the-
just put it out there because you know what? I've been looking through the damn app store on the Xbox One, and they'll fucking put anything on there.
There's a Giant Bomb app on that store.
Exactly. Gross.
Ridiculous.
Ewy. How would you load ROMs? Would you keep everything on like a USB stick? Or,
I don't know. I don't know
for
how it
sure.
would work.
Okay.
If it would be external storage or a network share or
Yeah.
or how they would actually do it. Yeah.
I certainly like the idea of
It's got to be in your Microsoft
additional
OneDrive.
functionality.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
The cloud.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably super legal.
Yeah. Well, it's your own private cloud. What are you gonna,
Get off
you
my
keep-
cloud.
I don't want to be on your cloud.
Bunch of God Eater music in
Yeah,
there.
not interested. Speaking of not interested, Fallout 76 is back in the
Got 'em.
news. Fallout 76 players will receive some additional Fallout games later this month for free.
Like Fallout Shelter.
No. They will receive PC versions of Fallout, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics for free. Anyone who played Fallout 76 will get access to those games. Even console owners, though they will not be console versions of the games, you will get access to these PC releases. They're not porting Fallout 1 to the PlayStation 4.
I've already got them.
Yeah, all these games.
I got them for $5.
Yeah, they were
Like-
just on sale in the Steam sale for like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been free at various
Yes.
times in the past.
It's not enough.
This comes hot off the heels of a pretty devastating bug in the game too. Did you see the nuclear?
I want to hear new bugs.
Shit, I don't have all the details in front of me, but there was a bug involving the endgame nuke thing that kind of locked out players from being able to fire nukes.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's better than the alternative of they made it possible to just launch nukes all the time and it crash the server.
So
or something.
that was the first problem, was like anyone could launch a nuke. Now nobody can launch nukes.
Well,
congratulations to the big boss and his team.
Exactly.
For demilitarizing.
Getting it done out there.
We finally get that last act.
Yeah.
Chico on the island.
That's exactly what it's. Yeah, game never over. It is game over for the Mac and Linux versions of Bloodstained, though.
No.
Oh,
This story from Polygon reported on this. Koji Igarashi posted on Kickstarter. Bloodstained will no longer be supported on Mac and Linux. We have made this tough decision due to challenges of supporting middleware and online feature support and making sure we deliver on the rest of the scope for the game. We will be offering backers who plan to play the game on Mac and Linux the option to change the platform of their order.
Not a refund.
Not a refund.
Not a refund.
The option to change platform.
Did they just copy and paste the previous?
The
The
one
one,
with
the
Vita?
one, the one when they
Vita.
canceled Vita? Yeah, 'cause
Right.
this
Press release?
They already backed away from Vita, which it seems sensible based on where the Vita is at these days.
That's handy for them.
And now they're not going to do Mac and Linux. The game is still scheduled for now
Mm-hmm.
to come out on PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
That's kind of shitty.
yeah.
Not
It
that I
is.
necessarily need a Linux or Mac port.
So
but
that's-
that's what I bought it for.
Well, yeah, if that's what you
Yeah.
and also keep in mind, and this it's a weird. Linux is weird. Linux is
Sure
weird.
enough.
B.
Careful.
Linux playing games on Linux is weird.
Can be, yeah.
C. Well, it's. I mean, I don't mean like it's weird to do it. I mean, it's like it's sometimes hard or not as easy to get up and running
Okay.
depending on your particular installation.
I don't trust people that play games on Linux.
But the things that got a lot of Kickstarters backed and got a lot of extra money into Kickstarters back in this heyday of people trying to fucking kickstart video games was, oh yeah, if we hit this goal,
Yeah, the tiers.
we'll come to Linux, we'll come to Vita. And so you had a lot of people that backed it specifically for those platforms. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a Mac gamer, you know. I've
Yeah.
got like a really nice Mac. Like
Weirdo.
I'm a designer or something. I've got this really nice MacBook. I don't have a PC. I don't have modern consoles. I really love.
I love two
Castlevania.
things. I love art and I love Castlevania.
Yeah, I fucking loved Castlevania as I had my Dreamcast and I played Symphony of the Night. I'm gonna back this.
No, you did.
You did not play
You did not-
Dreamcast.
you did
Certainly
not.
not on
Not
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast.
Maybe you did. I don't know. It's
Did you?
PlayStation?
close enough.
Weird CD
What?
loader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It sucks. You should get a refund.
It sucks.
Like that should be in Kickstarter law.
They spent that money, fool.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Money
still,
gone.
and the game not out.
Yeah.
Money gone, game not out.
Yeah, I wonder if they would even be in a position to give refunds if they would have them. Well, but also how many people would seek one?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, no, this would probably be like
Actually, though, if I had the opportunity, well, I guess it's people who only picked those platforms. Like, just say if I had backed this Kickstarter and there was any opportunity to get my money back at this point, I would take it. And
doesn't
if the
seem
game and if
like
the game
good
looked good
times.
on the other end of it,
you
I
can
would
just
buy it. But
Based on what I played, yeah. That
yeah,
might
based
be
on
a
what I
good
played,
move.
it seemed, I don't know. It seemed like there was potential there, but that was
Yeah.
also over a year ago that I saw that game.
It was less than that for me.
I still
Anyway.
have 2 games in my Kickstarter queue that I'm waiting on to come out, but I'm just not backing anything anymore. There's been too many, like I haven't had any of the campaigns that I have personally backed go wrong, but I've seen except maybe Mighty Number 9 or whatever that was, but that was just the game was
Whatever
bad.
that was.
Yeah. It's,
Um,
at no point in the Kickstarter pitch is this game will be good.
No, but there's just been so many stories of just here and there. It's like, man, what?
We get way fewer pitches from people saying, hey, we're running a Kickstarter for our
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
But we still do get a significant number of them. It's not like it was at this point.
No.
When the
It was
Kickstarter
like
Gold
right
Rush
after,
was on. And,
right after Double Fines.
Yeah. Right after they got through the door, all of a sudden there was just a billion Kickstarters. It was just like, I don't want to touch any of these because we don't know if they're going to actually make these games or not.
Yeah.
Bloodstained at the time seemed like, well, there's a name behind this one. And since then, I think, 505 has signed on to publish it, if it ever comes out.
I believe that this video game will come out.
It'll come out.
Yes. Just not on Mac.
Or Linux. Or Vita.
Or Switch. Actually, I bet it eventually comes to Switch, honestly. That'll be their like last minute, like, oh shit. If we put it here, maybe people will buy it because everyone else has forgotten about it.
It wouldn't be a bad move.
I honestly forgot about it.
Yep. Very easy to forget about Bloodstained.
The only times I remember about Bloodstained are when they announced that it's not coming to certain consoles.
Yeah. There's been some side conversation lately about supporting Linux. There was like a Twitter thread I saw yesterday from Jonathan Blow saying like, hey, like Linux is hard to support because there are so many different individual flavors of it, and people configure Linux their specific way.
The point
and that
of
can
it
make it
makes
hard
right,
and like that is the strength of Linux is that it can do anything. It's everywhere. This microphone has Linux inside it somewhere. I know it.
It's in the wire.
It's in the wires, man. So yeah, like at the time, I feel like when I saw more and more Kickstarters saying like, if we hit this amount of money, we'll come to Linux. It seemed shitty at the time of just like, oh, here's a way for you to like milk more money out of people that are an underserved demographic of
people that are like starving
and people, but also people that are like passionate about Linux as a concept and want to see.
You don't just stumble into
2019 is the year Linux on the desktop. It's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But it doesn't need to happen. Linux, it's fucking everywhere. So yeah, I don't know. That
it sucks.
It sucks. But also, I'm not surprised. But it sucks.
The only thing that's surprising to me is that it's not a refund.
Yeah, because there can't be too many people that chose that as their copy that they would need to refund.
I wonder. Yeah,
maybe it is a shit ton. Who knows?
Yeah, and maybe this is their first strike attempt to get people to pivot into another platform, and then the second is like, okay, if you really want a refund, we'll give you a refund. But first, they're just gonna say, hey, what platform do you want it on instead of these?
Yep. Or like, if you message them and
be like,
fuck
what
that,
the fuck, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah, then they'll be like, okay, here you go.
Yeah,
it's like, here's your hush money.
Arrest Ida.
That's right. Get out there, tell Kickstarter.
He's got a whip. You can never arrest that guy.
Yeah, no, the cops try. Every 6 months they'd go hunt him because
his castle keeps moving.
Yeah, it's every 100 years Igarashi's castle appears, and if you're not there to arrest him, then you're never going to get him. Speaking of arresting people, Squadron 42, the single-player component of Star Citizen, is due out summer 2020.
No, it's not.
That's when it's due out. That I can say with confidence.
Sure.
So that's this is a Polygon story where they noted that is 8 years after that will be 8 years after the original Star Citizen campaign ran.
8-year anniversary, that'd be something.
What details do we have?
So Squadron 42 is the single-player campaign, the single-player portion, the story-based portion of Star Citizen.
So it's the same kind of thing, just single-player?
I don't fucking know, man.
You're supposed to be the Star Citizen guy, Jeff.
That's me. I'm definitely the Star Citizen guy. That's the one that they went out and got actors for, like Mark Hamill is in it, and like all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the one that they spent a bunch of money to shoot a bunch of.
Say like we've got a legit story,
right? And so that's another part of I don't know what that product is when they bring it all together. Is Star Citizen all under one banner, or is Squadron 42 a separate executable that you launch and play through a campaign and then start?
What was it? What was
I have not been following this close enough to know, because every time
what was the Eve one?
Dust 514.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah. Was that a separate thing, or was that?
It was ideal. It was supposed to be tied to the universe.
Yeah.
So things that you did in Dust would
see space
impact.
battles happening in the
background. One would impact the other theoretically. But
this
Dust
is just a different standalone thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be.
I don't know, man.
Well, we'll see in summer of 2020.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see. It's hard for me to engage any deeper than this with Star Citizen because every time I look at it for longer than 10 minutes, I just start to feel a slime creep over me.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel good.
No.
Investigating Star Citizen, thinking about Star Citizen, none of it, it just feels gross. Also, as part of this announcement, they announced they secured $48 million in private investment from billionaire record producer Clive Calder and his son Keith.
Keith's really into.
They get 10% of Cloud Imperium Games and several seats on the board of directors.
Wow.
In exchange for that 48 mil.
Wow.
Maybe they're the ones to come in there and be like, "Hey, you should put this out." I don't know.
We want to play it.
We just want to play it. Do I get better insurance on my ships if I give you this $48 million? I don't even, this. The idea that they're still able to raise money. What must the books look like? Ideally, you have to assume that billionaire record producer, well, whatever, $48 million to a billionaire record producer such as Clive Calder
and
his son Keith.
Some people
Maybe they don't give a fuck. There's like, yeah, here's $48 million. Maybe it pays off. Like, we'll get to have fun with this video game for a while. We don't care if it ever ships or not.
Some people buy Misters. Some people buy into
you're
Star
right.
Citizen.
You're right.
Some people buy seats of the board of directors.
Yeah. So maybe this is such a non-investment for them that they actually don't care. But I was about to say, you would expect someone coming in and doing this business would do due diligence and look at the books and feel good about the investment and feel that their $48 million is not just going to get sucked up and
shot into space.
Yeah. Here's from the Polygon story. In today's announcement, Robert implied that much of the additional funding would be spent on promoting Squadron 42, whose cast includes Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, and other A-list Hollywood talent. We are building two of the most ambitious games ever embarked on in gaming, Robert said in today's statement, drawing a firm distinction between the single-player and multiplayer experiences, with budgets that are unmatched by all but the very biggest projects. We have been acutely aware that having a AAA game that matches the biggest single-player games out there only goes so far if no one knows about it, Roberts continued. Because of this, we started to investigate ways to raise money to fund the upcoming marketing and release needs of Squadron 42. This wasn't even for the game.
So this is just
to
for
market the
game.
And
which, games have huge marketing campaigns. They get on the backs of buses. They get on the wrestling television shows.
Yeah.
They advertise the shit out of their shit to try to get the word out.
Is their answer to everything just throw
NBA.
more money at it?
Their answer to everything is to raise more
Raise
money
more
at
money,
it.
right?
you're gonna have Mark Hamill come out and do a half-court shot in the
Mhm.
middle of an NBA game, and
Yep.
then talk about ship insurance for 45 minutes.
Yeah. It's a brown bag lunch. Drop your business card in the bowl. So yeah, and they're at an even larger deficit than most other games because most other huge games are often coming as a sequel or coming as a thing that like you know that a new Red Dead is coming out. So the marketing is really about exposing it to a mainstream audience that doesn't know that. Whereas I feel like Star Citizen has like all the word of mouth on it is super negative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All of the stuff around it looks bad. I don't
unless
even
you're
mean
heavily
that. Yeah,
invested.
yeah. I'm sure there's some people having a great time with it
Yeah.
and whatever. And I don't even necessarily mean the quality of the game because
No.
I can't speak to that.
Just
But I'm just saying
all the bullshit
ball
around
of
it.
fucking shit around it is
Yeah.
massive and just a black hole of just it looks fucking does not look like something I want. Like I said, I feel gross every time I think are just like ugh.
the
That thing
name-
just seems like it seems like they're waiting to steal the rest of everyone else's money, and Clive Calder and his son Keith are just get the latest to get caught up in it. I don't know.
The name just invokes, like, when you are
what are you
talking to
doing?
a person who knows about games, not even on the level that we do or something, just like you bring up Star Citizen and it feels like 9 times out of 10 people's first reaction is, why are you talking to me about Star Citizen?
If they even
Yeah,
know
right,
about
right.
it at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people in development and stuff are just
Yeah.
like,
What is,
I don't. I remember talking like someone who's a developer. I feel like multiple people said this, but it was a while ago. We're like, hey, like, it seems like a lot of the things they're announcing about wanting to tackle with Star Citizen are things that no game has done yet. So it's obviously ambitious, but also, can it be done?
Well, don't worry, they're gonna keep making money.
Yeah, it's just all. It's hard. It's hard to look at and feel good about. But maybe when summer 2020 rolls around, maybe Squadron 42, the single player portion, will be a complete and whole experience, even if the multiplayer goes on to be some weird ship insurance nightmare or whatever the hell it is. Who knows? CES is upon us, the Consumer Electronics Show.
What's new in refrigerators?
Smart toilets.
Smart toilets? Is that what's new? How
I
about Instant Pots?
I saw
something
a
else.
television that is part of a vent, an exhaust vent for your stove. What? So it's an exhaust vent that also has an Android touchscreen on it.
That won't get foggy.
Why?
Ever?
Because a watched pot never boils. So what if you were watching television just above said pot instead?
Yeah. To get your water to boil.
$1,400. I don't know how much a new exhaust vent costs.
Right.
So I don't know if that's
Probably less.
Probably
Sounds
less.
like a deal.
Probably less.
CES has always baffled me. I want to go. I want to go.
Have you never been?
I've never
Yeah,
been,
it's,
and I've always wanted to see. Like, it seems like there's weird inventors there, just like walking around the floor, like, trying to pitch their toothbrushes.
I don't know if it's necessarily that. It seems like they
I
have
wish
booths.
in my head. That's what it is.
Yeah, everyone's got I feel like there are a lot of booths. Last time I went, it was definitely that way.
Yeah.
Like, and the booth size goes from, huge, big as E3 or bigger down to as small as some of those super small E3 booths of just like, hey, we've got a small square here, and we're standing here, and this paper shredder is fucking badass.
That's the shit I want to see. I want to go and see that weird
This remote
stuff.
control is universal.
Whoa.
I know.
What?
These phone cases are going to suck your dick, man. I'll tell you.
I need some dick sucking phone cases.
Well, you're in luck.
Yes.
Las Vegas always has plenty of both.
Do they still have the AVN stuff?
It is separate.
It's separate.
It is separate.
One's grown too big for their britches.
I think the AVN Awards happened at a different time
okay.
now. So it is not. You cannot.
Damn.
You cannot see
Bring
all the
your-
latest technology and find out who won Best Anal.
Yeah.
Both
at the same time.
refrigerators.
Yeah, both. Yeah. Samsung locked them both up.
I was gonna bring my phone case upstairs. And
Well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna hear about the latest Vive news. That's what you're gonna hear about.
Thank you.
Related to AVN, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of pornography, two new Vive VR headsets coming out, perfect for 360-degree porno. VR Kanojo.
When I'm watching porn, I've always thought, man, I wish I could look behind what's happening over there.
You need to stretch your head sometimes.
Turns out not a lot going on back there.
I wish I could just see like the director and whatever over behind me, just standing there looking upset.
No, they do a good job of at least in my limited experience with VR pornography.
Sure.
I did not see anyone standing there going
Like a guy
just
with a
hunched over going
clipboard, like
just no fat. Okay, line harder. Fat.
just a guy in a chair with a beret looking really upset.
Yeah, just like no, this is not at all what we're looking for. Okay, couple new Vives.
yeah.
Two new headsets because there are not enough VR headsets on the market. The Vive Cosmos is a new headset from HTC, and it is designed to be paired either to a PC or a phone.
All right.
And it has inside
Paired. So wireless.
Well, maybe not wireless. It's connected to.
Okay.
I guess I shouldn't say paired per se.
So if it's connected to a phone, that's pretty
okay.
easy, right? You just
theoretically, yeah.
Pop your phone.
Or it is wireless. I don't actually know. They did not say a ton about it, I guess. But it can be hooked up to a PC or a phone for different types of VR. Has inside-out tracking, so you won't set up any base stations or anything like that. And it will be the first to access what is called the Vive Reality System, which is a new hub world they're working on. And they've got a VR web browser that they're working on with Mozilla.
whoa.
Browse the web in virtual reality. Who would have thought?
I can reach out and touch the memes.
Mm-hmm. And the memes will touch you.
Touch you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got to get that phone case then.
Yeah,
You're going to hook it up to your phone.
You're going to need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Put that Novant Falcon away. It's time for something meatier. And then on the high end of things, there's a new Vive Pro out.
Okay.
Announced. The Vive Pro EYE. That'll be out in the second quarter of this year. They didn't announce any pricing. And this is an upgrade. See, this is the third kind of high-end Vive headset. Last year,
higher res or
foveated rendering and eye tracking.
Okay.
So that's a big step. It's the sort of thing that you look at and go like, man, the market they're aiming for, do they really need this right now? But I guess it all has to get there eventually. So the thing you get with eye tracking and foveated rendering as a duo is it tracks your eyes and is able to increase the resolution of where you're looking at the expense of resolution of where you're not looking.
Okay.
Oh.
So the idea being like that then makes it slightly, like friendlier on the CPU power, on the GPU power front on the PC side of things, because you can focus that stuff elsewhere. And so in theory, you get better looking stuff because it's really rendering the stuff you're looking at directly sharper, better.
That makes sense.
Stuff that would probably be more meaningful as resolutions improve and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. That sounds cool.
That said, this is a high-end item that they're aiming at the enterprise and pro market. So that's a market that can afford to buy a big-ass PC that doesn't necessarily need those savings. But everyone is eventually going to need those savings as stuff kind of pushes further and further mainstream. It just seems like a weird move. It seems like too soon for them to launch a third Vive. But the Vive Pro wasn't necessarily aimed at the average person. But maybe none of it is. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I don't think any of it is.
What are we doing with VR?
Well, it sounds like the one that could pair to a phone might be a little more
that's the one that is kind of maybe more designed at like the end consumer. And this is like when they put out the Vive Pro, I think even at the time they were like, we're kind of thinking about this for location-based entertainment. Like let's say you opened a VR center and you are charging people to play VR games for 10 minutes at a time or whatever. Yeah. You're going to buy the Vive Pro because you want to have the best experience for those people, so they keep coming back.
It also gives them a product to compete against. Was it the Oculus Go? Is that the one that's
the Go or the Quest?
I think it's the Go.
Yeah, they have two. There's
the Oculus that is
the
not
the Oculus that is not tethered. That is an all-in-one thing. Yes, it gives them something that is a little more akin to that, and maybe in the price point as well, could be close to that because you would still need a phone, to do this. Whereas that Oculus thing is all in one.
It's all in one.
All right there, standalone. So, it's I laughed when I saw this announcement last night of the Vive Pro Eye because it was just like, man, what the fuck? Like it seems like they just put out the Vive Pro, but I guess that was a year ago now. And here we are. So if I was trying to like maintain the bleeding edge of VR in my household, and by that I mean if I had bought a Vive Pro, I'd be fucking pissed.
Yeah, but also
largely pissed at myself.
Yeah, probably. For trying to be an early adopter. That's frustrating.
We'll see. Yeah, this is out in Q2. It seems like a cool thing that people have been talking about. Hey, when foveated rendering comes to VR headsets, it's going to be a very big deal. It's kind of the huge next step in this stuff that helps us get to where we need to get to.
Sounds super smart. Yeah.
But this will probably be a pretty expensive item because this is again going to be a thing that is aimed at the pro, whatever that market is, and the enterprise market. So
the other half step, the pro version, what did that add exactly?
It was higher resolution.
Higher resolution,
I think, and I think that might have been it.
Really?
I think it was just higher res.
Oh man, and like turn around and probably another $800 or something.
Yep, it was $799 when that thing came out, and so this thing they have not announced pricing for it yet, but I would assume it would be another $800, if not more, depending on what the cost of adding that new tech is. I don't actually know. And then on the content side of things, HTC is we're working on Viveport Infinity, which is a monthly subscription service for VR experiences that'll be available to even people who bought a Rift. It's not exclusive to Vive headsets. And it sounded like that would be like a low monthly fee for like a handful of experiences every month or something like that, which I don't know. That doesn't sound like a huge deal, but also with VR apps, VR games still being pretty expensive. Maybe that's
it's really, really hard to know like what's going to hit. So that actually sounds like a really good idea. I've been really impressed with, services like that, like Game Pass, as of late. Yeah, I think it's a really smart way to experience VR.
I signed up for Game Pass.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did. I played a little Sea of Thieves, actually.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah. How did it treat you?
Not bad. You know, it was my first time in, and I played with a group of 3 other people that I all knew, and we were all on voice comms, and that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even by the end of our hour and a half with it, I was like, I think I've seen most of what this game has to offer.
Well, it's part of your Game Pass subscription.
Though
so
I hear this month there's huge updates in the works, like a smaller area that's supposed to encourage more people interacting with each other.
Cool.
Yeah,
That
we'll
could,
see.
Yeah. It's, if nothing else, at least they're continuing to work on that thing.
Yes,
So maybe
they're doing what they need to do.
That's going to do it for news. Why don't we take one more brief break here, and then we'll come back with your emails. Emails. It's
Where?
time for them.
Where?
There they are.
They're everywhere. They're all around us.
Like
Behind
Linux.
me?
Midichlorians, too.
Yes. People often use...
Porn directors.
I bet Linux is used in 90% of emails. At some point, Linux is involved in sending that email from place to place.
Whoa.
No, it's
90, if not higher.
That penguin gets busy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is Ubuntu still a thing?
Yeah.
Still a hot thing?
Ubuntu, Kubuntu,
Kubuntu.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Ubuntu,
That's nice.
TWO. It's the sequel to
Oh,
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu. Wait, we got some breaking news here.
Oh.
PW Insider reporting that the former Neville is
God
spotted
damn
in
it.
Jacksonville.
Holy
God
shit!
Damn it.
Holy shit.
I thought it was going to be real news.
Wait, this is the news, Ben.
We'll see. They're like an hour away. Emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address to send emails to, and we will take your emails, such as I have done with these
even
ones.
yours.
Even yours.
Even
Maybe
yours.
yours, if yours are good. Nick from Detroit writes in, why does Microsoft need to get publishers to approve games for Xbox One backwards compatibility before they can put them out? But Nintendo with the Wii worked out of the box with all GameCube games, and the earliest model of the PS3 played all PS2 games. Is there actually no legal requirement and Microsoft just does it as a courtesy? Does that have something to do with them also selling games on the store digitally? What is preventing Microsoft from just flipping a switch and saying, okay, everything works now?
That's a good question. My guess is yes. They don't need approval, right?
So
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
the reason the PS3, the original PS3 played PS2 games, and the reason that the Wii played GameCube games is because those devices originally included hardware
yes.
that that made that support inherent.
Yep.
It just worked because all that hardware was there, so they just leveraged it to play those games.
Mm-hmm.
So on the Xbox One, I think that they specifically are doing some work to those games here and there around
To
the
get them
edges to build the
Oh.
shims to make them compatible and make them work. But also that involves oftentimes, like I think when you stick that disc in, it doesn't read a lot of data off the disc. I think that's just like a key for it to say, okay,
Yeah.
and
You own
download
this.
the
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
And download an Xbox One version of that, of a compatible version of that game.
That's what happened when we tried to play Driver, San Francisco.
So that's just, it has to sit there and download that whole file.
Mm.
And I think once you're doing that, then you're distributing the game all over again, even if it is still locked to the original disc. And then at that point, you probably have to do the work to make sure that that game is legally sellable and all that other stuff. Plus, they sell digital versions of all those games on their store. So they don't rely on you, because they don't rely on you owning the disc to do it.
Okay.
So because of the way they've done it, I think that's why they have to do it that
They
way.
do need approval to like resell
to
it.
do that sort of stuff. If it was a case where they are just building generic emulation software on the Xbox One that will play the disc as inserted,
Yep.
that's probably totally fine to do. But that's
Gotcha.
not how they're doing it. So I think their approach probably makes it
sense.
Makes it happen that way.
Either way, that was dumb. I want to play all my stuffs.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
it's better than
it wasn't in the news, but there was the Lego Lord of the Rings got pulled from digital services.
Yeah.
So it's just another instance of like, hey man, maybe keep around the physical discs.
Well,
and,
even those games that got pulled, like if you own them, you can still get
Yes.
them. It's just you can't buy them anymore.
right.
Yeah.
But like, what happens if you move on to another account or something?
I mean, that's true of anything.
Yeah.
That's like,
But
that was like
except
if
physical
you,
media.
Right. Yeah. That was true of, iTunes movies and all that other stuff. And there was a lot of talk some years back about what happens to your iTunes library when you die. Like,
Turns out
there was an idea
You're
of
not
like,
supposed to be able to pass
exactly.
it on.
Yeah. Like, because you're buying the license and it's bound to you, the person. Like, it's
messed up, man.
it's fucked.
It's messed up.
It's fucked.
What if I want to pass it on?
Yeah. Well, that's
Well, just
just
rename your child,
Okay.
read the
Jason.
EULA.
Okay.
and you're good.
Yeah, identity theft is always the answer. Rudy writes in, if
I
this
need
is
help
if this
moving
if
to
this
it.
is indeed Rudy and not someone who has stolen Rudy's identity. I started and finished Spider-Man this month and loved it, so I purchased all 3 DLC packs for it. I don't usually do DLC because I greatly lose interest in games weeks later after finishing it. But this was perfectly timed since I came to Spider-Man late and they had just released the last bit of content. Unfortunately, I once again feel burned by DLC. Don't get me wrong, the Spider-Man extra content is actually better than normal DLC offerings, but if Spider-Man is a 5 out of 5, the DLC feels like a 3, due to a lot more bugs popping up and low-caliber writing.
Really?
I always feel like DLC development is just less priority for quality, and this situation just reinforces that fact. I should never buy DLC. What is your thought? What are your feelings towards single-player DLC? That's Rudy in St. Louis.
I so rarely get that stuff, but have
Yeah.
you experienced the
The bugginess is definitely a thing. Like they've been working to try and reduce it, but it's still, I hear reports of it being a bummer. And then it just was kind of underwhelming. You're kind of doing the same things.
And it's set outside the story.
It's set outside the story, and it's
Mm-hmm.
usually involves like 1 to 2 maybe new like set piece areas, but most of
Mm-hmm.
the time you're just swinging around the same place you've been swinging around. But yeah, we haven't gotten a lot of good single player DLC in a minute. Like I try and think back to the last really good pieces of single player DLC.
Shadow Broker.
Yep.
Shadow Broker,
Minerva's Den.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
that's it.
Mass Effect stuff.
Red Dead, Undead Nightmare,
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
and like
Burnout Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't actually think Big Surf Island was all that great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like compared to the main
it's
game.
mostly good just because you had more reasons to play
Yeah, it was like,
Burnout.
here's some more cars, here's some more stuff. Like
Yeah.
that was cool, but like the bikes, I never thought was all that great. And when they started
I
acting
like the
that,
RC cars.
like, here's the Back to the Future cars. Like, that's fine. Okay, yeah, I guess.
But yeah, like I always got the impression that for a lot of single player DLC, it was we've finished the game, we still have this game, we still have this team here.
Mm-hmm.
We used up most of our really good ideas in the game.
Well, it's like you end up in two situations. Well, there are more than 2 situations, but like from the outside looking in, it seems like you would either start on this content after you were done in that window of time where you're like, well, our part of the game is done, so we're going to start on this DLC stuff,
Yeah.
but we've already kind of used our best ideas. Or here's some ideas we had that we cut from the main game, and we cut them for a reason, but now we're going to flesh them out and ship them anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
Like now we have the time or the resources or whatever
Yeah.
to actually.
and I don't think that's every piece of single player DLC, but
No.
also like when I play story-based games, I play them, I finish them, and I move on. Like I'm not looking for like,
to go
especially
back
like
to that world necessarily.
and it's well, or if I am looking to go back to that world, I want to do something substantial.
Yeah.
And DLC rarely feels like it's substantial or meaningful to the story I experienced. Because it used to be, there was that Assassin's Creed DLC like 9 years ago where it was like, here are 2 chapters from the middle of the game.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 15
Yeah.
does stuff like did stuff like that
yeah.
too.
For all of its DLC. And that felt like a really shitty, like when they announced it before you played it and all that, it felt really bad. It was like, oh, here's some stuff you cut from this story that now you're going to sell back to us for even more money. Great, thanks. That didn't feel good.
No,
But I remember one of those being okay, or hearing that one of those was okay. I don't know that I ever played any of that stuff myself. And yeah, I just, so it's either that or like Spider-Man is like a whole separate tale, right? But
Yeah.
using a lot of the same assets and concepts that you've already spent a lot of time doing with a better story wrapped around it. So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know what the winning answer is. I guess the winning answer is like Shadow Broker's good. Minerva's Den was good. Those were both fairly standalone.
But I mean, this certainly had the potential to be good because Spider-Man was such a great game and it's such a great world, and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this had the potential. I got caught up into it. I bought the stuff, but I have like no desire to go back to that world now.
Yeah, I actually haven't touched the third piece of DLC just because the first two were so
Really?
What is the third one supposed to be?
It's the
Silver Sable.
Silver Sable, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I almost said Silver Surfer. That'd be
Yeah,
way
Silver
cooler.
Surfer Galactus comes down, munches on Manhattan. Yeah.
Very
Feels
wavy.
so good.
Very wavy.
The only season pass stuff that I typically get is usually for not single player like story content,
Fighting
but
games.
like fighting game stuff. Yeah, where you're gonna get like those kinds of season passes, or
Like characters and cars, and here's a game that's meant to be played repeatedly,
right.
and here's some new shit to give you some new options in those games. Like, yeah, I feel like that makes sense.
But like story chapters, yeah, that's something that's a hard ask for me to go back into that game, try and relearn the controls and stuff. Especially if it's,
like
it's
you've
a
moved
good,
on.
Yeah, I've moved on.
Yeah, that's map packs are weird now.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that I feel like used to make a lot of sense years and years ago. That over time, like Call of Duty seems like they're the only ones still doing it, and like sure enough, like they've put out their first 2 maps, and you can only play them if you go into like a separate multiplayer hopper devoted to those maps.
That's a bad.
And so like I'm just going to team deathmatch because that's the mode I want to play, and I would love to play it on those maps. But instead, I have to go into a hopper that is like, you can play a variety of modes on these maps. And I don't just want to play those maps. I want them rolled in.
Right.
And eventually, when they're done with the DLC, usually I think how their cycle goes is by the time they put out the next map pack, maybe they will roll these 2 in, or, by the time they're done with the season pass, they will have we've put all the season pass stuff into the main hoppers. And it just is what it is. But like right now, I feel like I paid for content that I have to go out of my way to see, and I can't see it in an ideal way, and it kind of sucks. Like everyone else's model of realizing like, oh, when we put out map packs for sale, it splits the user base and it is a shitty experience. Everyone else has given up on that.
Like queue times go up, just stuff like that.
And Call of Duty is still sticking to it because they're probably big enough to where they can justify it. And I don't know. That was what EA did that got them in trouble at some point, right? Because they were like, oh, well, instead of selling map packs, we're going to do all this cosmetic shit. What about loot boxes? And it was like this feeling of like, oh, that's okay. It's cool that the maps are free, but they kind of fucked up in a totally different way. And here we are. So I don't actually know what the answer is there either.
Yeah. I feel like
because I would have said like, oh, free map packs and then monetize in a different way is the answer. But then all those different ways that people have tried to do that have gotten everyone in trouble. So,
all that being said, I would totally play some God of War single-player DLC.
Really?
Like, I still think the capacity is there to create these single-player DLC experiences. And I maybe wouldn't have even said that before God of War, a game that exists entirely as a single-player experience with no sorts of add-ons, nothing else.
But
there.
like, what would you want out of that? Would you want to go back
Kratos
to that?
gets sucked into another
Okay, but that's the
world.
thing. Would you want a whole new play environment that is outside of the open world of God of War?
Like a side,
you want a whole side
like a
thing?
little side thing that is in its own. Like you go into the big portal room and you walk into a portal and you're in a new place.
I feel like that was the thing that Fallout did.
Yeah,
with its
actually,
DLC of just like, hey,
I do really like
we've
a lot
got
of
this
those
big
Fallout
area,
DLC.
but it's really you can go there with your main save, but it's really carved off. When you go there, you're going there.
The fun 1 and 3, the swamp themed 1 and 3, and then the broken steel, I think was.
That sounds right. I didn't like that stuff because it felt so cordoned off from the main game.
See, I liked that
they were
just
all
because
but
I had
at least it let
really
you
different
every
flavor.
ounce of that main game, like playing through 3 times.
I think the big part of the update, their update process for that was when they rewrote the ending and stuff,
God,
and like made it even worse.
That sucked.
I was like, hey, now you can send the super mutant in, but he says no, I won't rob you. There's at least a dialogue option to try to do it, but ugh. Justin from Union, Kentucky writes in and says, remember when Sony dropped the price of the PS2 to $100, roughly $120 in 2018 dollars? That's a lot of dollars. Do you think there will come a day when a machine that plays PS4 games will be on a store shelf for $100 to $120?
They're all going to be the PAL versions, so.
Yeah. If not, what do you think the lowest price will ever be?
For a PS4?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's got a Blu-ray drive in it. I don't know if I see it.
200.
Yeah.
150.
I don't see it getting fucking bargain basement pricing.
Yeah, I wonder. What's the...
How much is a PS3?
How much is a PS3?
From like GameStop.
I feel like, yeah, when you open it up to like used... I'm not going to go to GameStop because they're just going to try to sell me used stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to...
Hell yeah.
How about like a Best Buy? Let's type that in.
I almost went into a GameStop because I got like a really sudden hankering to play Bayonetta 2 because I haven't yet. I was like, oh, I bet I could like pop in here, find a Wii U copy of Bayonetta 2 for like $6 or something. No,
it's Nintendo stuff across the board. Yeah.
I typed in PlayStation 3 and it just returned me a bunch of PlayStation 4s. Hang on. Check this box to filter. Okay,
Siri, how do I use computer?
Skate 3 for PlayStation 3.
Nice.
How much is that?
$20.
Oh.
Oof. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
$20.
Yeah, that's all right.
Format. No, this is just all games.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Even so, like a
okay.
packaged, like retail, like classic version. Well,
I typed in PlayStation 3 system, which was their recommended related search, and it just returns a $27.99 copy of Odin Sphere.
Luftrauser?
Life Seer. All right. Fine. We'll go to GameStop.
Yep.
Fine, Best Buy. You did this to yourself, Best Buy.
They probably don't have any.
Yeah, they
PS3s.
probably don't. You'd think they would have some in a warehouse somewhere.
I'm seeing in terms of used
109.
so anywhere between 80 and 130.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about brand new, like manufacturer suggested retail
Well,
price?
then you end up in like if you're getting shrink wrapped brand new, well not shrink wrapped, but brand new PlayStation 3 hardware, that might then carry a premium at this point.
It might.
There was
Well, yeah, that's kind of what he's talking about.
I saw some stuff going around on Twitter yesterday that like Wii U's, like brand new Wii U's have started to skyrocket.
Oh, really?
Like $600 for a brand new Wii U, and weird shit like that.
Because people are hacking there. Yeah.
Well, there's that, but also I think it's just that people that want to keep them sealed, or like there's now a market for brand new Wii U's in a weird way.
Weird. Well, yeah, he's talking about like the manufacturer.
Yes, exactly. When would there be a slim?
Yep.
Hey, here's our last. Hey, the PlayStation 5 is out, but here's our PS4. You can get it for $100. Like I think the way the used market has kind of evolved, maybe has kind of taken that out to where the channel just gets so flooded with used consoles that they don't necessarily need to keep making.
They just got to make it little and cute, and I'll buy it.
Yeah,
let's go.
PS4 Classic.
Aww.
No. I feel like Sony has shown that they can't be trusted to do right, but you get the impression sometimes that Sony doesn't understand the concept of old games and why people would want them or any of that other stuff.
Sometimes even they don't get the concept of new systems.
Yeah, well, Yeah. Mandy writes in and says, this is a question for Jan and Jason specifically. Get your ears on.
Well, great.
Yeah, you just hold your pen. Yeah, keep holding that pen. Hey, while watching the extremely long but enjoyable Mario Party 11 stream, I was wondering what Jan or Jason do in the control room during these super long streams. Do you play your Switch or other games? Do you read? What do you do?
Well, if that phone case is real from CES, then man, well, I'm closing that door.
This changes everything.
I actually walked in on Jan while he was recording the Mario Party 11, and he just had a look about him of...
It was fun.
I've been here for a while.
I often will turn the lights off in the control room, keep the door open because it gets really hot in that room.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like when we're doing a longer stream or a longer recording, like a Mario Party, I'll just like hunch over the desk and just whisper to myself like, "Oh, my tummy hurts," and like clutching my. I don't know, just some random stuff like that, like something that's ailing me at the time. And 9 times out of 10, there will be someone passing by as I'm saying, "Oh, my tummy hurts," and then they'll look inside. And I'm like, "Oh my God, what are they doing to you?"
Get back to work, damn it! I mean,
shut the door.
Because there are camera switches. There's like
Yeah.
production to be done. Pretty
like at any given time, but
Stuff can go wrong.
Yep, stuff can you got to be ready for that. But there's often times that it's like we were doing a Destiny stream one time, and Drew and I were both in there, and it was like hour 3 or 4, and I just had to lay down for a little while. So he kind of took over. I just like watched from the ground because there wasn't anything going on. Sometimes that happens, but if we're doing our job properly, we're ready at a moment's notice.
Sometimes I do a couple reps with a sandbag that I keep in there.
Mm-hmm.
Think about getting a kettlebell
I
for the
can't-
control room.
Yeah.
I can't have the light off because I will get super sleepy.
It's weird. I don't know. I feel with like the super bright fluorescent lights in there,
Yeah.
it just like makes me feel weird.
Oh, really?
Bright lights like that
Makes your
just
tummy hurt?
suck the energy out of me.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think I get the
Especially in
same
a
thing,
small
especially
room.
with my
Yeah.
tummy too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know.
My tummy hurts.
I mean, I guess the solution, or if that was actually a problem, tell me if it is. Then I guess at some point we would switch to a model of we just record everything, and then you edit it after the fact and edit in the camera switches later. Which
That'd be sitting through it twice.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't.
Oh,
you wouldn't
no,
sit
right.
through it the first time, I guess,
okay.
because you wouldn't be doing any switching. You would just
Sure.
like turn on all the recordings on every camera and everything, and
we
then
would still need to be there to make
assemble
sure
it all-
that it all
that it
gets
all
recorded.
doesn't break.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
Also,
you go.
sometimes like the one time I'll be on my phone, that's when someone walks into the control room and I think like, oh shit,
nah.
I think I'm not doing my job.
Just sitting there doing jack shit.
Yeah, I walked in there. Jan was on an online casino. I don't know what was happening. He's betting on like pig fights. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I mean, hey, if you can bet on the pearl, I'll bet on the pearl.
So when
Don't
Drew
bet on the pearl. It's
when
gonna,
Drew was training,
it's gonna
the first thing
reboot
he
at random. It's gonna be all fucked up, man.
when Drew was training, the first thing he showed me was the producer position, and that's sitting back in the chair, feet up on the desk, with his right hand on the audio, just looking at the monitor and just watching it. And he's like, "This is the producer position. This is what I look like when I'm."
Maybe we need something that's
recording
a
all
little
this
more
stuff.
cockpit-like that you can kind of like lay back and have the screens above you.
Yeah.
Oh, one of those
so it's like
chairs
a
that's like in
dentist
the-
chair, or like the Last Starfighter swivel chair.
What do we do now? We produce.
Yeah,
They also need scouters.
yeah. All right.
I mean, that's a thing we all need. though.
Yeah, we have not blown the Q1 budget yet, so I guess look into some scouters.
Okay.
The audio level. What?
It's too hot.
If there was a giant window in our control room where I could see you guys, I don't know how that would change anything, but I feel like that would change everything.
If they know.
I would have to
Yeah.
fight the urge to just wave at you all the time.
I was just talking to someone about how we originally were told we'd be able to get that window, and
Yep.
then someone was like, "That's way too expensive."
Yep. I'm still mad
because
about
it's a cement wall. It's a
Right.
load bearing wall.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
why. That's
shit.
why. It's
Okay, so we just put a camera on
that
monitors.
that was
on-
my exact idea. Was
But then I'm just
to-
going to put some dumb shit on the other side, make you guys think I'm there.
Right. Yeah. You'll just have a loop of you just going, and then in reality, you'll be in the producer position. Let's see. Rhodey from Norfolk, Virginia writes in and says, in the recent end of year discussion, y'all were going over how they ran the Fallout name through the mud with Fallout 76. I remember a very similar discussion last year when it came to Mass Effect Andromeda. I am curious why companies decide to do these experiments with tentpole franchises. Wouldn't it be better to just use the building blocks of the previous games that made it popular, like in the case of Hitman 2, than do something drastic that could ruin the branding in the future? What do you think the 2019 franchise that will be destroyed by making it into a battle royale? I think that the brand, like in the case of Mass Effect, that was a trilogy that had run its course. If you were going to make a new Mass Effect, you wouldn't make a Mass Effect 4. You would make hey, here's the Mass Effect universe with a whole new game in it.
Yeah, you got to
So-
tie a bow on it at some point and,
Yeah.
shake things up.
And I think with Fallout 76, my guess is that, you've got like the main core Bethesda studio, Todd Howard et al., working on Starfield. You've got them working on theoretically a new Elder Scrolls game after that.
Mhm.
And those are long-term projects that they've, been working on probably for a while and will work on for years to come. So you're not going to get a new core Fallout or new core Elder Scrolls out of them this year, next year, last year. because they're working on far-flung stuff. They're thinking about the future of technology. They're thinking about like, hey, well, what are the new consoles going to look like? What can we spec for? Like, they're on that timeline now. Yep. So you've got room for, well, we want to do something with Fallout. We want to do something with this other team we have, and we can kind of, work it out and have it work this way. And so something like this happens. If they had made this and it had just been called something else, like, no one would care. So of course you put the brand on it.
And it works out sometimes. Like there's games that kind of, I'm struggling to think of firm examples, but like, okay, Assassin's Creed Black Flag was a game that was just like, hey, we're putting this naval combat thing. Like, they didn't have to do any of that, but the franchise needed something fresh, and it worked out for them. Like, there's instances where this does totally pay off, and it opens you up to like a new, because imagine if Mass Effect Andromeda was good, that's a whole new trilogy they can make.
Right. Yeah.
And if Fallout 76 was good, that's an online game that they could keep alive for years, probably.
And that game will probably be online for years.
Oh, yeah. Regardless, it will. But anyway, like, it would probably make them a lot more money if it was good.
Well, yes.
And to answer the second part, I'm going to guess Gears. Because it's the only game I can think of that is definitely coming out this year. Nothing we've seen makes me think it'll be bad.
Yeah, but I feel like what the stuff I saw on it, I was like, oh, this actually looks larger than. Yeah, we'll see.
But that's my guess, because I can't think of another franchise that definitely has a game this year. My only other one was Halo, but that's maybe not out this year.
I wonder. Yeah.
All I know that's coming out is God Eater. They could easily put in a Battle Royale mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
But it would be good.
All right.
Very good.
All right. Andy from Ohio writes in and says, while listening to your deliberations, mainly the best ongoing game category, I thought some of the games I played this year that a lot of the staff didn't have time to get to. Do you ever wish you had time to have played some of the games to judge how they are progressing? Some of these include games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Path of Exile, Warframe, and other games of those types. Personally, I spent a lot of time with Warframe and Path of Exile this year. Warframe released probably one of their largest updates yet with new open world and so on and so forth, and keep doing what you do.
Yeah, I really would like to, like the two ongoing games that I saw people talking about after our discussion were Siege, which we, gave its credit, which I wish I had time for, and PoE. But like ongoing games like that require such a time investment that I'm already using for a couple games, and then with the other video games that I have to play for my job, which is, I know, a unique circumstance, it's just like, do not have time to devote to more than one ongoing game.
And also, I would say in both those cases, like I played some Path of Exile and Warframe in 2018 and didn't stick to either of them. So they were not my best ongoing games of the year. Like the Warframe update sounded really promising and appealing, but
got me to reinstall it again too.
But then I launched it and was right back in that situation of just like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. And also every time I launch Warframe, I like the movement slightly less. Like it just has no weight to it. Is this very flitty, flippy, just it doesn't feel good.
Well, you're a fucking mutant ninja.
Yeah, and that should feel great, but instead it feels like weird netcode floaty in some ways, and it just never, the movement never feels right. And every time I launch it, that crystallizes just that much more, because I only come back to it every 6 months or so at this point, probably, to go like, oh, what's up with Warframe?
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of stuff about Warframe. Let's look at Warframe. And then I get back in and go like, well, I'll launch this mission. And I play that mission and go, man, this doesn't feel good. Ugh.
I thought last year was going to be the year that I got back into For Honor, because they keep releasing all these expansions and stuff. They've got new single player stuff. It's like, this is exactly what I've been asking for. It's like, oh, as soon as they have a cool single player campaign or whatever, I'm gonna hop back in, and it just never happens because it is such an investment. But we were both talking about like fighting games that we wanted to get into, jump headfirst into, and I would love to, but it is such a time commitment. But God, if I envy people that do have the time to keep pulling up these games and
I felt
Warframe, and
I felt like 2018 was a year where I played all the games I wanted to play,
really,
and as much as I wanted to play them.
I keep looking at other stuff longingly.
Yeah,
but it's a grass is greener
generally
kind of.
speaking. I played. Like me personally, if I was not trying to get a job done, I would not have played as much Metal Gear Survive as I did.
Yeah, you're probably right. You could have had that time back.
Yeah. Oh. But generally, when it comes to the games I didn't finish, the games I chose to finish, I feel like I spent my time where I wanted to spend my time this year.
Yeah. Me too.
And don't really have any
Overall.
regrets about that. I checked back in on a lot of those or some of those games here and there. And stuck to what I stuck to.
Yep.
And that's just how it went.
Yeah, I darted around an awful lot, but there wasn't anything that I really, really sunk my teeth into like I'm used to doing it with like a Street Fighter type game. And that's
I would have expected you to have really stuck with Monster Hunter even more than you did.
Yeah, but I got a taste of the PC version, and running that at 60 frames per second, as well as those load times, really forced me to hold off. It's like I'm going to spend all of my time on the PC version. Once that released, come to find out that they're going to be on a staggered DLC release schedule. So all these events are all these cool events are happening on the PS4 right now on Xbox, but they're not coming to PC for a while, and that just it deflates me.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I get it.
That's the only reason why it wasn't 1,000 hours as opposed to the 500 hours that I put in.
Sure. Yeah. Pete from Massachusetts writes in and says, "What do you all think a Mario Maker 2 would have to bring to the table in order to be a relevant product? You can't customize the experience too much because Mario games behave in a certain recognizable universal way, but I'm curious if anyone has ideas they could bring to the table that would expand the experience."
Character customization.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Sure.
Character customization would be cool. I would like the ability to create a world. Maybe it's a set of like 4 levels with a castle at the end or something like that.
Yeah, a world or even just like an overworld map if you could kind of customize that.
Higher memory limit would be cool.
I rarely hit the limit. Usually when I hit the limit is because I was doing something stupid
shit. Yeah, I could see that. Better ways to share and follow creators. But I'm not holding out for that.
Yeah, the poison mushroom from Japanese Super Mario 2.
More items.
Yeah.
More.
The angry sun from.
You think we ever get
angry sun?
Doki Doki level set?
Like Mario, like a straight up US Mario 2.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
It's such a different because you think about Mario Maker, you can toggle between the tile sets on the fly, and 2 just doesn't adhere to any of those same things. So I would love to do it, but it would break that aspect of it, which I'm not married to that aspect. So it could be like, hey, if you start a Mario 2 level, it's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think that would be cool.
Mario Galaxy Editor.
I actually think a Mario 64. Wow. Someone hacked that together.
Really?
Some kind of weird editor for Mario 64.
For real? Wow.
I downloaded that.
It's really bizarre. And it's very hacky, but fuck. And so I actually think if you just laid out the Mario 64 tool set and said, hey, just, plop some stuff down and, put it on a grid to line it up and all that sort of stuff.
I feel like
it'd be neat. It'd be a very neat, that's a totally different.
So once you add a third dimension into the mix,
it changes everything.
The amount of control you have as the player increases so much that creating a tight experience.
Yeah, it's making a difference.
It's cool, as hell, but it's tougher.
Yeah, that is less interesting to me as a Mario Maker fan, but I think it would be really cool to see.
Yeah,
I think character customization, visually, would be neat, but also if you could play around with the physics and say hey, we're going to design a custom looking character, and also he doesn't control like Mario normally controls, and have some aspect of we want the jump to feel a little more like this for this particular level.
Yeah,
maybe that would break it because then you would go into every level and it would be a different feel, and maybe that would suck. But I think that would be a cool twist.
I think we talked about it during our last Mario Maker live stream, but the thing I would like is to be able to control the logic of enemy behavior and stuff a little bit, just so this enemy is going to, this Lakitu is going to spawn creatures at this rate, and he's going to have like increased move speed or something. And it's just like tinkering with enemy behavior or like thwomp behavior, heavy head behavior and stuff like that, fireball behavior. I feel like being able to customize that stuff would make it a lot deeper for people who really wanted to get into it, but not necessarily overwhelm people who don't care about it.
I think the thing you'd run into, like, if you think about how Mario gets burned into people's brains, all that stuff comes with it. How the fireballs behave, how often a Lakitu throws something, like all that stuff, in a way that makes it hard. Like, I would almost say do all that stuff, but you can't actually edit existing enemies. It's like, here's some new custom enemies we came up with for this, and you can customize the shit out of those. Or, hey, you can take a Lakitu as a base, but you got to edit that sprite.
I think part of Mario Maker is about working around what you know about Mario in a way, like the more advanced stuff, for sure. Yeah. Like, I didn't know you could, wear this hat and get under this thing and use a spin jump on a power. Yeah. Thing.
But but a lot of that relies on exploiting the known rules of Mario in kind of knowable ways. And I think if you got too far away from that, it might get weird. But at the same time, like it's like something more like that I think would be really cool.
Maybe you can design your own enemy.
Right. Then, that's probably what I would say is like design your own enemy from the ground up. Design your own player sprite. Like Mario controls like Mario. But what if you made Bowsette? I don't know. We know that's what you're gonna make.
Finally. Bowsette, please.
Sorry.
I'm a man of class.
Gross. Stefan from Lincoln, New England writes in and says, Nebraska. Nebraska.
New England, sure.
New England, Nebraska. I had a buddy say that Resident Evil 2 is the best game of the Resident Evil franchise and had as much of an impact in gaming as Resident Evil 4 did by its narrative branching paths in the story, gameplay, and atmosphere. I have never played RE2, but was surprised by the claim per RE4's impact is pretty well documented and well seen over the previous generation of gaming in a major way. It's possible RE2 has a larger impact than RE4, I suppose, but I thought I would consult the experts in this and get your opinion. What do you think? What is Resident Evil 2's impact on gaming, and is it comparable, if not greater, than RE4?
It was a damn good Resident Evil. My favorite, in fact.
The character, the split, that was like the
two different
zapping
discs
system, right? Or whatever. Like
something like that.
It was like you would pick up, if you picked up an item on your first playthrough, it wouldn't be there the second time or on your second one, right?
Yeah, that stuff was
when you moved to the
prevalent.
next disc.
And it wasn't like each disc was each character or something
right.
like that. That shit was revolutionary. I don't think it set the world on fire like 4 did for... Oh my God, yeah, that was the genre bending and changing and revolutionary.
People were very excited about RE4, but people were extremely into, like, Resident Evil 2 was a huge event.
Totally.
But it was like, hey, here's a better Resident Evil. I don't know that it necessarily...
Yeah.
Like, Resident Evil 4 cast a very influential shadow, whereas I think RE2 was a refinement of RE1.
Totally.
Like, RE2 was like the modern... Like, hey, Resident Evil 1, like when you look at Resident Evil 1, you go like, oh, it's like Alone in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
They made one of those.
Yep.
Resident Evil 2.
Bad FMV.
Yeah, yes.
Even better.
Some great FMV.
You're right.
Whereas Resident Evil 2 feels like where it kind of stepped away from that and came into its own a little more. I don't know. Like I don't like any of those games, so it's hard for me to really.
I never played 2. 4 was my first, actually. So,
but his friend is wrong. I think 4 had more of an impact than 2 did.
In terms of like, I feel like in terms of influence over the industry and stuff like that, I would actually say 4 cast a much longer shadow than 2 did. But 2 was a huge moment for
that
games.
Series.
Like it was for that series.
For that series, I think in particular, not necessarily for games in general.
Yeah, I guess like Resident Evil 1 would have been the game that set off all of the survival horror clones and all the other stuff that we saw. Mm-hmm. But RE2 probably informed a lot of those too.
I'd be interested in hearing a counter argument, but
I would not. Ben from Cincinnati writes in and says, hey, why won't DICE just make Battlefield 2143? It is what hardcore fans of the series have been clamoring for years, not more World War II. It gives them freedom to be creative with modes, guns, and vehicles, again, unlike World War II. So why do they keep refusing to make the game that everyone really wants? I think Ben is wrong. Do people actually like it feels like there was a hard push against future war.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone went back to World War II. Because even modern war was getting long in the tooth. And I seem to remember Battlefield 2142 not being very well received at the time, as much as I thought it looked interesting.
That was the one that looked the most interesting to me, and that's coming from somebody who has
I
zero
had not
interest
played,
in playing any of these.
I had not played a lot
across
of
the board.
Battlefield at that point, and 2142 was definitely like, oh shit, okay,
Yeah.
is there like a mech in here? What are we
Okay,
doing?
All right.
1943 for life.
Yeah.
You tell it.
Why won't they make a 1944? It's what true hardcore fans
Yeah,
have
that's what
wanted.
they really need. Brandon.
I got time for one more, and then I got to.
Okay, all right, that's right. Yeah, you got to go see video games.
Yep.
All right. So we'll get through. We have a handful more emails, but we'll get this one out and let you go. Quick question: Why were there no PlayStation 4 Pro deals to be seen on Black Friday or Boxing Day?
Yeah, Jason.
It was
There were
John Drake's fault.
Yeah, there were plenty of bundles on the base model, and Xbox had some deals on all of their SKUs. But why not the PS4 Pro? Sony isn't abandoning their premium console already, are they?
That's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Yes, they are simply maintaining that premium price, as Brandon comes to. He's from Hagersville, Ontario, Canada.
Would production be an issue with this? Of just
I don't know. There was I think prior to Black Friday, there was it was hard to find a PS4 Pro for a little while.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed like all the stores stock dried up, which was strange.
All right, I got to go. PSVR
all right.
for life.
Have fun. Yes.
Thanks, John Drake.
PSVR for life. Thank you, John Drake. Thank you, Jason. He's gonna go see some hot new unreleased video games. Yeah, no, I think that I don't know if they had a ton of stock or whatever, but they did.
Yeah.
They did they did bundles in the base model, but like that's what Black Friday and all that other stuff is like. They're trying to sell to a more mainstream audience, and,
Sure.
and the base model is priced to move or closer to price to move, I guess.
Yeah.
Than a Pro would be. So I think it makes sense for them to build all their pricing around that base model, especially because they seem to be selling plenty of the PS4 Pro on its own without cutting the price. So they probably
It
don't
seems
need
like
to.
they went the hardest on the VR bundle.
Right.
totally.
Yeah.
I couldn't even find a copy of Astrobot during Black Friday or Christmas, like just
Oh,
single
wow.
standalone
Yeah.
retail.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like they were all paired up with that bundle.
Weird. All right. Tori from the Twin Cities, Minnesota. I just recently started a job at a realty firm producing videos for them. I found out one of the oldest realtors was pro wrestler Playboy Allen West, a.k.a. the California Kid. I guess I sort of just don't know what to do. Do I try to pull him back into the game? Do I thank him for his service? Please help me out here.
Keep him out of the game.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
He left for a reason.
Yeah, he got out. He got out and got a job at a realty firm. He's doing okay. He can probably walk
Yeah,
without hurting.
he has money then if he owns a realty firm.
It doesn't necessarily say that he owns it. It
Oh,
says
okay,
that
well.
he's one of the oldest realtors, is how Tori puts it.
He's made some money then, and
He'd-
doesn't have to
he'd-
go to
he'd-
like a bunch of cons.
Exactly. Yeah. Doesn't have to set up his gimmick table and sell T-shirts and photos. Shifty in Kansas City says, "Are Wario and Waluigi really just Japanese Snidely Whiplash and Dick Dastardly?" Like, yeah, they kind of have that same
Sure.
cartoon villain.
Yeah, but those, there's no counterpart. Or who's the Mario to Snidely Whiplash?
It's a Dudley Do-Right. Snidely Whiplash, the bad guy in Dudley Do-Right.
Does he look just like Dudley Do-Right,
No,
but shorter and fatter?
No.
Wouldn't they be the Bizarro Superman to the Mario?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably, The Wario and Waluigi are more Bizarro than,
Yeah.
but like C-Lab Bizarro, not Bizarro Superman.
Ooh,
Bizarro.
okay.
Yeah.
Bizarro.
Bizarro. Chris from DC writes in, I'm just going to read Chris's PS here first. Just take the rest of this email with this PS in mind.
Okay.
PS, I fucking hate this idea. I'm Tarantinoing this and starting at the end. And
Thanks
now
for
we're going to...
emailing, Chris.
Episodic games in the future? Recently, Life is Strange 2 was added to Game Pass and got me thinking about how the floundering episodic model would be a perfect fit with game subscription services. What better way to keep people subscribed than with a monthly drip of content? Do you think Fable 4 Piecemeal Edition is being bandied about Microsoft as we speak? Or will episodic games continue to operate in a niche space? P.S. I fucking hate this idea.
I don't think we'll see a huge uptick in episodic games. I think the service, like the appeal of the service now is you're getting huge games when they're out, like with Game Pass, right?
Right.
It's like you can go play Forza right now. You can go play You can go play these like huge $60 games. Right now.
But also, I think Sea of Thieves would work better. And we couldn't do this because I think there would be some outrage associated with it. But in some future where these subscription services are a little more normalized and a little more common, a game like Sea of Thieves works better if it is not purchasable.
Yeah.
If it is something that's like, oh, if you sign up for the service, you get Sea of Thieves. That it's $0. It's included with your subscription. It's not you're not sitting here asking the question, is this $60 worth of content? Because the answer for Sea of Thieves is fucking no. At least at launch, you know.
Sure.
Like they've obviously changed it. I don't know that I would necessarily say that it is yet, but I have not been playing much of it since. So if in a world where Sea of Thieves is exclusively available on Game Pass, let's say, that's bad because people like to preserve games and people do like to own things, and I think that they should be allowed to for as long as it makes sense. But in that world where you're like, oh, I'm paying for this service. Oh, and I get this game that is constantly being updated and I can kind of come back to when I want, and they'll make changes and do all this other stuff. Like, that makes sense. And it also becomes that Netflix model of like, well, they'll continue updating Sea of Thieves as long as subscribers are playing it. And if the viewership dries up, they cancel the show, Luke Cage, move on, and come up with something else.
Right.
And maybe that model makes some kind of sense.
But again, like,
but it's dirty. It doesn't feel.
Wouldn't people start to get to after, like, let's say, you know, Fable 4, whatever, season 3, episode 6 is, you play that one and you start waiting for episode 7 and it's canceled, and all of a sudden you start seeing these games canceled halfway through. Wouldn't that subscription or when the episodic model just completely fall off because nobody would trust
so
that?
I think that the episodic model would suck.
Yes.
Because for that reason. Like, you want a game story that you could sit down and finish. But I think for an open-ended game, like a Sea of Thieves, or, you know, a games as a service,
maybe like a Fallout 76.
Sure. If Fallout 76 was something you paid $0 for, but was included with a subscription, and the value was a little more.
Whatever.
Well, no, I would not sign up for it. Like, here's this, and I don't know, this month you could play Wet. Like, no, they don't have the catalog to do that. But in the grander scheme of like a Microsoft service or some kind of large multi-publisher service, something like that becomes much easier to swallow.
Yes,
I think.
Totally.
Even if Fallout 76 launches and is buggy, you're like, well, that really sucks.
I'll come back to this.
But, you know, I can afford to come back to this. Like, you know, you'll have some people that maybe signed up just to play that game that are like, fuck this, and they cancel.
Like, every new update, it's just, I'll go back and play that because I can.
Right.
It's still buggy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an area we could get to, though. And I think that's you could justify some game development along the lines of like, hey, we and maybe Microsoft is already doing this when they're like running budgets and figuring out how much to spend developing games. They're like, well, you know, some percentage of this has to be kind of thought of as something that keeps people signed up to Game Pass. Like, if we put this game out, like, you know, it's the number of unit sales might not be what we want it to be, but it keeps people in this ecosystem. It keeps people on this service.
And EA was talking about that too, right?
They have
like
it.
Last
They did a higher tier of Origin. That is now like play the games.
So maybe now it's you get, I don't know, Battlefront looped into the package. Like, you just play Battlefront if you subscribe to Origin Plus.
Well, I think that I think the Origin Plus is like Battlefield on day one. It's not even older stuff. It's like
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's
So
all
it's
our
like
stuff.
Game Pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
see.
It's a little more like that. I think they've rolled that out. I think that's why the Battlefield 5 launch was so confusing, because there was like 3 different
Right.
dates for it. It was like people that were Origin Premier or Plus or whatever the fuck it is, and then there was the people who bought a copy of it, and then there were people that bought the that have EA access on Xbox, got it a certain day, or yeah, there's a lot of stuff around that was more confusing than maybe it needs to be. Josh in New York writes in and says, every year my friends and I rent a cabin in the woods, bring a bunch of TVs, board games, and consoles/PCs, and spend 4 straight days indoors playing games together. Why rent a cabin in the woods?
Yeah.
Atmosphere.
Eh,
Okay. But if you're going to stay indoors...
Well, you're going to stay indoors, but then you can also just go out into the woods.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of away from everything, and, you know, as part of like this drunken nightmare that I'm sure it turns into at night. Like,
Yep.
I guess
maybe
you don't
need
worry
that.
about the electricity bill.
You can be as loud as you want, you know. You
Sure.
can just like shoot off some fireworks if you want.
Shoot each other.
Yeah. No
okay.
one's there.
Well, he's saying, you know, the way that Josh has painted it here is that there's none of that.
yeah.
No.
It's hey, we're just locked up in this room playing games, at which I would say, get a hotel room.
Yeah.
Just it's probably cheaper. It's
I like
closer.
the
I like-
cabin idea because like
I like the cabin idea, but
who
only
knows
if it's
what's gonna happen.
only if it's then associated with it's just like, and then we started a fire, and then we were spitting alcohol into the fire, and then Ray burned his face off, and that was hilarious. Good going, Ray.
God damn it, Ray.
Do you have any suggestions for cool local multiplayer games that came out in the last year that Josh could use on his cabin trip? Is the upshot of this question. I feel like the local
Lethal
multiplayer
League
stuff.
Blaze.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
sure.
That's a good one. You could play that. I'm gonna again map some of myself onto this trip and say, you could play Lethal League and have a lot of fun of it when you're drunk out of your mind
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, the drunker you get, then
Yeah,
can
that's-
increase the fun of something like Jackbox.
Right.
Oh
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jackbox needs an internet connection.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Well, cabins have
I
Linux
think.
in them at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah, there's
because
Linux in
your phones
cabins.
have to be. Yeah, there's definitely. Yeah, if you're getting a Linux cabin, then you're fine.
Yeah. Local multiplayer. Like I mean, every week for UPF, I look at Steam and I look at new local multiplayer releases. There's like filters. You
Yeah,
can filter down to
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's been-
not much.
Well, I feel like that kind of boomed and busted.
Yep.
You know, there was a time when that was everything. You know, and the Ouya brought it to us with Towerfall.
When Killer Queen Black comes out, that'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be a good one. Just play some IDARB. IDARB's still good.
I thought it was still good. Samurai Gun 2, is that out? No,
It's not out yet, but they announced it.
Yeah. I played that at Day of the Devs.
Was it a major change?
No, you have unlimited ammo
Oh,
now.
okay.
I think
Alright.
was the big thing I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
This changes everything. Nivak from Ontario says, what's the deal with fishing games? Ever since Sega Bass Fishing, my dad's been into fishing games. The only problem is that I'm pretty sure Sega Bass Fishing is the peak of the genre,
Yeah.
with everything coming after it being weird, late Wii-style shovelware from Cabela's or Rapala or whatever. Did the death of the arcade kill fishing games, or are there some hidden, untapped waters I don't know about? Will we ever get another fucked up fishing rod peripheral?
Just get your dad
We
to,
have one.
Yeah.
The Labo.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Labo.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was the last fishing peripheral.
I was gonna say get your dad to play Nier.
You don't want your
I hear
dad
the
to
fishing's
play
great.
Fishing's tremendous.
Yeah, it's the best part of the game.
It's not an RPG if it doesn't have fishing.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. That was another thing where there was a time where I think because those arcade games existed, you also had
Right.
a lot of developers just putting out a lot of Japanese developers making fishing games. PS1, PS2.
Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that era, there was still fucking a lot of fishing games.
Is there any VR fishing games?
Oh, there's gotta be.
There's got to be, but
Right.
I can't say. I don't know.
Yeah, just set up a fan, pretend you're by like a dock or somewhere. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe not a good time.
Maybe not
but
a
like,
good time, but
yeah.
you could do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think the death of arcades probably
it makes sense.
probably put a bit of a damper on.
So I went to a Dave & Buster's maybe 2 weeks ago, and I
Yeah.
saw they had a beer pong machine.
Huh.
And
Did it involve beer?
No,
I've played.
you've played this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like a set of like red Solo cups. You throw in a ping pong ball and just try and sink all the cups. It's not forcing you to drink beer or drink anything for that matter, because kids go to a fucking Dave and Buster's.
Is it all physical?
Yeah.
So
it's like physical ping pong ish balls and physical red cups.
And then they have
that are lit
sensors
up.
in it
They're
that
like,
know if you.
Yeah, like because I could reach it and drop them in, but
yeah,
they weren't scoring me. But they have like little light up lights around the rims to signify the ones that you have sunk.
Okay.
So arcade's just taking a weird step.
Yeah. I went to, there's an arcade in Oakland that I'll go to once in a while, and they have I forget what it's called, but it's like the thing, it's basically like a D-box. You sit in it, and it like blows wind in your face, and you're like on a mine cart, and it
like a motion roller coaster type thing.
Shakes you around. A lot more of those I'm seeing, just the worst
They
shit.
have those at like a bunch of malls too.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, strap on this shitty VR headset and then sit in this chair.
We'll take you somewhere.
Yeah.
It just feels like you ever do the motion ride at the Luxor?
No.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a big wraparound screen with a roller coaster kind of thing that would kind of shake, and they'd have air blow on you. It was neat for what it was. I don't know. Let's see. Liam from Sydney. Listening to the last podcast and looking at this year's releases, it feels like a next-generation console lull. Do you agree? After the first quarter, it feels thin. Will we hear anything at E3 this year? Or will we have custom console maker events? Will we get a revision to the Switch? Thanks, Liam from Sydney.
It's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Liam.
Yes, no, yes, no, yes. No, I think that right now the year feels a little thin because we were going over games that like largely had like confirmed release dates.
Sure.
So we didn't necessarily cover every single game that was coming out on last week's podcast. But also I think there's probably plenty more to announce. But also you're not wrong in that it seems like some teams will start to at least think about that transition if 2020 is indeed going to be the year.
Mm-hmm.
And E3 this year, we'll see. You know, it sounds like Sony's out completely, not running their own event off to the side or anything like that. But maybe that means that they would bring back PSX later in the year to make some announcement about what's next, or we'll see. And as for will we get a revision to the Switch? Yeah, it sounds like they're already working on one. That story was going around a couple months back that they were looking at doing something this year in that department. So
what is that? Better battery life?
I don't know. What do you think the deficiencies of the current Switch are that you would want to see addressed?
I would like
Joy-Con connectivity being better.
Yep. Yeah.
But then they fixed that.
It's just the launch left Joy-Cons that are busted, and that's all we have around here because we are early adopters.
Battery life, I feel like is honestly the main thing for me, but that's mostly because I play portable. Maybe the screen. We can get like what is it? Edge bleed. Basically, I want the screen to go to the.
Oh, you want like no bezel.
Yeah, but that's a me thing.
Oh, you want Mii's? Okay.
And then it should bring Mii's back.
The Mii's are in there.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe
I
like
fought against a Hitler meme.
Oh God.
Me on Smash.
Please tell me you won.
I did.
Good. Bluetooth connectivity for like headphones and stuff would be neat.
Yeah, definitely seen people complain about that stuff.
Yeah.
And something that's like better for voice chat.
Yeah.
Than their weird phone app thing.
I don't see that being completely fixed with a new Switch revision though.
Yeah, that's probably not like something that's really high on their list.
Yeah,
because it seems like the sort of thing they would have done the first time around if they wanted to do it.
Maybe like an Ethernet port on a new dock would be cool.
Or how about automatic game backups to the cloud?
That's a firmware thing. They could do that.
They could
tomorrow if they.
But like, imagine if they say, "Hey, we had this and this and this." Like it's a bullet point that they could add for a new thing.
I
don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could always have a higher quality screen.
Sure.
You could have a real D-pad.
Yeah, that one would be nice. The main thing I want from the Switch right now is just more first party.
Yeah.
More of an idea of what's coming down the pipe in terms of like larger releases.
Yeah, or just even a better look at and they'll give it. I'm sure. Like, hey, when is Animal Crossing going to come out? They said it was this year.
When is Metroid Prime 4 coming out?
What else have they got? All that stuff would be nice to know. But yeah, I don't know, like a slightly bigger I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a,
I'd like bigger Joy-Cons, personally.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
like a Switch XL or something, or a slightly bigger, or a Switch with a like higher quality screen.
Or what if it was 3D?
Yeah.
Okay.
there
And then when you turn it on, the
okay.
frame rate gets worse.
I love it.
2 screens on
Yeah.
a Switch, huh?
There you go.
Oh my god, if they just made the Switch into a big DS, I'd be into it.
That would be
Turn it into a Game Boy SP. Just fold it in on itself.
yeah. We get one of those foldable OLED screens or something. Those are all the rage.
Yeah.
Do something like that. Yeah, I there's like stuff that they could do that I think would improve the quality, but I don't think any of it is like must-have stuff.
You slide out the bottom, it's a full keyboard.
Yeah,
Maybe you can text faster.
it's a T-Mobile Sidekick
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, now we're fucking talking.
It's got Snake on it.
Oh shit! Damn, is Snake not on it? Some indie developer must have put Snake onto the Switch.
You can probably play Snake
Some-
on the Switch.
Yeah.
Ooh, a kickstand that doesn't make you feel nervous about
Ooh,
using it.
All right, steel.
Oh,
like
okay.
a nice steel kickstand.
All right.
I feel like some of this stuff is stuff that you wouldn't necessarily need to revision the entire like Joy-Cons with a better D-pad, larger Joy-Cons. That's stuff they could do without replacing the Switch. Like
Sure,
you'd have to weird. If you had a bulkier, larger Joy-Con, you'd have a weird bone-shaped.
Ooh, can you imagine people
Switch.
like just playing specifically with a bulky Joy-Con on one side and then like this regular default size Joy-Con on the other?
I would call the police if I saw someone doing that. That's
Hell
not.
yeah.
They're not safe.
Hell yeah.
Those people are not to be trusted. And I don't trust them.
Okay.
I think it's going to do it. Thanks, everyone, for emailing in. Again, bombcast@giantbomb.com is that email address. If you want to send something to us,
Feel free.
feel free. Send it in.
Do it.
Brad will look it over.
Like cool
and,
pictures.
Yeah. No, send actionable items. Do not flood the box with cool
Like a
pictures.
cool pic of your dog.
If you got cool pictures, send them to Ben on Twitter, and then he will show me the best ones.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. And I would love to see a filtered look at the pictures you send to Ben.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem. And that's going to do it. We got the after show coming up after this, which I think just means Jan will leave and we'll keep doing the show for whatever that's worth. And we'll take your calls live on that one. So stick around for that if you're watching us live. If you're not, hello. Hi.
Hey.
How's it going? How's your Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day it is where you are going? I hope it's going well. Take care. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Giant Bombcast. See you then.
Hi.